Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 102 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for August 2025. My name is Jonathan Leung. I'm the producer, director, and editor here at the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson. Tim, how are you?
Well, I should be rested. You and I both just kind of came back from vacation.
We did.
But all I've done is work. I had a few days left, had to help my son move, and it just never slows down. So I'm a little tired, but overall good. I'm just, everybody I talk to seems like they're having the worst week. I don't know why.
Goodness.
So hope your week's been better than what I've been hearing all week long. But how's your week?
My week has been good. Actually, my month was good, like you said. You went on vacation last month. I went on vacation last month, and I'm sure we'll get into that in the partially in the after show. But I actually have an arcade I went to too,
nice.
So I'll be talking about that here a little bit as we get into the show. But we're so glad that you guys are here tonight joining us. Tim is a little bit. I feel like we're a little bit late this month just because we had the 5 weeks in between, and we're on the 7th instead of like probably the 1st to the 5th, I feel like, is when the live shows usually fall. And so we're a little bit later, but hopefully you guys are still out there and you're going to join us tonight and you're ready to get some arcade repair knowledge, because we're going to have a good time tonight. Now, Tim, we're kind of doing a classic show. Okay. We, as you noticed, the intro, we went back to kind of the episode 96 intro, classic intro.
Okay.
And then we're bringing back the quick question and answer for tonight. Okay, because those have been kind of gone for a while, but we actually had enough questions this month. People have been sending in questions. We want to thank you guys for that. I feel like the questions have they come in spurts. They got to go quick and then they slow down. And summer, I feel like it's probably our slowest time, but I think we're starting to pick up in the fall. We're probably going to be getting questions at a greater frequency going forward.
Yeah, it's too hot here to work on games.
Absolutely, yeah. This is the hottest show. This is literally the hottest show temperature-wise of the summer, Tim. Right? I mean, of all the shows that we do, and my game room unfortunately does not have good insulation, and it's big windows, which means that basically it's hot all the time or cold all the time, depending on what the temperature is outside. Well, hopefully you are comfortable where you are at tonight, and we do want to remind you that you can interact with us during the show by leaving your comments, questions, or other things in the live chat. Tim, we have Tex JYT is here. He says, good afternoon, all. The Real Hammer Billy Lee is here. He says, hey, guys. Dragon Punch Dave is here. He says, how's it going? Jason Steverson is here. He says, what's up, Tim? So we already have a couple of guys there in the live chat. So thank you guys for chiming in. And we look forward to interacting more with you as the show goes on. Tim, we got some great questions tonight, I feel like. Lots of monitor questions.
Yeah, we get a lot of monitor questions.
We do, and so that is why the title of this episode is Monitor Shot.
Okay.
And Bad Mascots.
Bad Mascots.
And we'll get to the Bad Mascots part later. You can probably guess if you've been following us on Facebook or X.
I think I know that news article, maybe.
There you go, okay. Well, Tim, I guess, are we ready?
We're ready, let's go.
I guess we should move on then. With that in mind, guys, let's go ahead and answer some arcade repair questions for this month. And this first one here comes from Todd, and Todd writes, good afternoon. I just bought a used Golden Tee Golf arcade for my boys, and I got it home, and the screen is no good. It is model number 19K4625. I am reading there may be upgrade screens with adapters to fix this. Can you point me in the right direction, or do you have parts available? So, Tim, we have Todd here, and he's got a Golden Tee Golf. Now, he doesn't say what year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I went by that meeting. Well, I went by that meeting probably classic Golden Tee Golf. The other thing that may be a giveaway is that it does sound like he has a 19-inch screen.
Yes.
The 19K4625, right. 4600 series with a 19-inch screen. Mm-hmm. And so we don't see a lot of modern Golden Tees with that size screen. A lot of them went 25, as you know.
True.
And so I'm thinking this is probably a Golden Tee Classic style cabinet that we're talking about here. But with that in mind, Tim, what advice are you going to give to Todd? He says the screen is no good. He's got a K4600 series Wells Gardner chassis. What can he do to get his Golden Tee Golf back up and running?
Well, Todd has done a little bit of research for the fact that he knew it was a Wells Gardner K4600 series and not a RCA or
right.
So usually with a new person, they look on and say, I got an RCA monitor or a Zenith or something. But the fact that he knew that, he's done a little bit of research. So I'm going to trust him when he says there's something wrong with it.
Sure.
Okay. Now, we would always ask, are you sure it's the monitor? Because if it's just the monitor, the game will do what we call playing blind. And we'll get into some more of that and some other questions. what we mean by playing blind is there's nothing on the screen, but if you put a coin in or trigger a credit or somehow, and you hit a start button, the game will play. You just will be blind, like you're not seeing anything, but you know it's playing, you just can't see it.
Right.
If it's just the monitor, that's the case. In other words, the game works, the monitor went out. I'm hoping that that's his case, because he says that he said he's reading that maybe there's some adapters, and he could upgrade and go to an LCD screen, and he's right. For that if it's an older model, he's probably not going to have a VGA plug.
Right.
And if he did, that would be nice. So he will need an adapter to do that transition. But as a lot of people will say, that's a really good monitor. It's also probably one of the more simpler ones to repair.
Right.
In
Most
my
people
opinion.
know it from the cards.
Right.
So
It's got 2 cards in there. It's easy to pull those cards out and send them for repair, or to try to repair them yourself. It could be something on the chassis itself. So our first recommendation is why not fix what you have, unless you just really want a newer style screen for the price of the adapter and for sure the cost of the screen. You're going to spend a lot more money than you would if you just sent that in and repaired it and then keep it to its original glory. But that's up to you.
Sure. You should. So when we say cards, we should probably explain that, Tim. The K4600 chassis has 2 cards that stick out from the main chassis. It's got like an HV card, and I forget what the other card is at the moment. But those cards are basically the parts that go wrong most often. And so what they do is they just stick out and have a little bracket that goes over them. So if you remove the bracket and take the cards out, you can work on it without having to pull the whole chassis out, which is very helpful. Depending on what your issue is. Now, there may be times where you still have to take the chassis out to complete the repair, but for the most part, the removing of the cards can fix a vast majority of problems with the K4600, which is a good. That's why it's a really good monitor to work on. It's really easy for beginners to learn on because of that. You don't have to worry about removing an entire chassis or even discharging the monitor. You can just remove the cards. So.
I guess what I would compare it to, let's say that's a 1990 model. Okay, just throwing out a number. If it's 1990 and you had a car, let's say you had a 280ZX or something from that time, you could fix the engine that's in there, or you could totally replace it with a new engine. One is severely going to cost you probably a lot more. So it's up to you. Do you want the newest look and to upgrade it to that modern style engine, if we'll call it that? Or do you want to just fix what's there and keep it original like it currently is? So that's just up to you, whatever you think.
And we should say that this guy behind me, Tim, I believe has a 4600 in it.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea. So 4600s, they're really great. Tim said upgrade the LCD. Shame. Now that's up to Todd is what we're saying, Joe. That's up to Todd here.
Yeah.
But Todd is asking for that. So if you went the adapter route, let's talk about that for a second, Tim. You could get a monitor that already supports 15 kilohertz, which is what we would recommend. A commercial grade arcade quality LCD. Right. Those are going to run you probably around $300, maybe a little bit more for a 19-inch, just depending on what brand and things that you get. For a Wells Garner, definitely 300 plus, probably for the 19. You can get some of the other models a little bit cheaper, maybe closer to 250, 200. A monitor repair, even if you shipped it off to somebody like Paul Duray, who we recommend here quite often, it's probably going to set you back maybe $150 on a 4600, something like that.
Probably one of the more reasonable price ones.
Or you could go with the off-the-shelf LCD with the adapter, like you mentioned, and you could get the Gombus 8200, the GBS 8200 video converter board, which is the one that you see most often in YouTube videos and other things, and then just put an off-the-shelf LCD in there. But that introduces some problems, Tim. There's usually a little bit of delay in between like the controls and like what you're seeing on the screen. Quality is usually not as good as what you get with like an arcade quality LCD. And so, I mean, you can go that route. We usually don't recommend it too often, just depending on what your setup is. For driving games, it seems okay. A lot of times use the adapter, but for games like Golden Tee, it'd probably be okay too because it is a little bit slower. But we're always going to recommend going with a commercial grade arcade quality LCD. I mean, these things are made to be commercial, even though I know you probably have it in your home. So go ahead and replace it with the modern equivalent of what's in there now, right?
Yeah, if that's your choosing. But our first recommendation is to rebuild what's already there. Leave it original. It will save you money, and it'll keep that monitor. I mean, what else are you going to do with it, right? I mean, it needs to, and pretty soon they're already getting pretty rare, that you could do that and fix it and get it going. Worst case scenario, you don't like it, you want a newer look, you've got a working 19-inch monitor somebody would love to have once you get it fixed. And so you could do some swapping or something like that too.
For sure, yeah. And there are plenty of people who would love to take a working K4600 chassis monitor and tube off your hands.
For sure.
I can promise you. So, Tim, let's go ahead and put the slide up here since we're kind of finished talking about Todd's issue here. So we assume that screen is no good means that the monitor is not working. The good news is that you have a Wells Garner K4600 series monitor chassis in your game, which is not bad to troubleshoot. Start by checking the fuses at location F601. If that's bad, probably have a bad hot or diodes, Tim. That's pretty common in the high voltage. As we actually show in our video on troubleshooting games that are playing blind, if your fuse is bad, a lot of times that's because the hot has gone out or the flyback has gone out. Maybe the diodes as well. Diodes don't die as often, but they can. And if the fuse is good, then it's probably an issue with some voltage regulators, maybe even caps in the power supply section, or a horizontal deflection issue on the HV card. And like we talked about, Tim, you can take that HV card out and troubleshoot it separately, which is not bad at all. Of course, you can go the LCD replacement route with a Gombus GBS A200 series adapter if you wish, but we will always recommend that if you want to go the LCD route at all, go with a commercial grade, arcade quality LCD that supports 15 kilohertz instead. Tim, this is not a picture of his cabinet. This is just one I kind of picked up just to show this is probably the setup that he has, right? I mean, the only thing is Golden Tee golf in this setup sucks because when you hit that...
you hit your hand.
Yeah, when you hit the trackball in that kind of setup, you're going to hit your hand against the screen very often. That looks like...
my fingers plenty of time doing
right,
that.
That's almost like a Williams-style cabinet with Golden Tee in it.
Yeah.
Or something like that, which is really not designed for it. That's why you see most modern Golden Tees have the sloped monitor to where, almost like what we have with Galaga here, where we have that slope to where when your hand goes forward, it doesn't run into glass or bezels or anything like that. But anyway, just depends on what your setup is, Todd. But hopefully answers your question. If you have any additional questions, you can contact us. Tim, do you have anything else for Todd before we move on?
No, let's go.
Sounds good. So, Todd, again, questions at arcaderepairtips.com. If you have any additional questions,
I guess one more comment.
Go ahead.
Dad of the year. He's buying it for his son. So.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Working on that early Father's Day.
But is he buying it for his sons? I'm just saying. Is it something where you talk the wife into buying it for yourself? Oh, it's for the kids.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever. So, yeah, but... you know, it is probably a little bit for him as well. My boys, right?
His boys.
So it may not be his kid boys. It may be his boys' boys. You know, like my buds.
Who runs around with.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. My friends, whatever. So whatever the case may be, whoever you're playing with Todd on this game, just let us know if we need to help you further. Again, questions at arcaderepairtips.com for additional support. So. Okay, we're going to continue with this theme of playing blind, Tim, and the next question we have here is from Joe, and let's go ahead and put Joe's question up here real quick. Do you have any guidance on my Virtua Fighter 2? It was working fine, then next day the screen was black, but I could hear the game working. So,
okay.
Tim, we have a Virtua Fighter 2 here, and this is definitely playing blind this time. We weren't with Todd's, we weren't so sure that it was playing blind because he didn't say anything about the sound. But here with Joe, we definitely have a playing blind issue. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is that if this thing is in an actual Virtua Fighter cabinet, more power to you, because those things are about the heaviest cabinet that I've ever had. In fact, I got rid of all of the Virtua Fighter style cabinets that I had. When we were at the auction and Tim got me a Soul Calibur when we were there, it was in a Virtua Fighter cabinet. That cabinet is long gone, but I still have the boards for Soul Calibur. So, but anyway, so good luck moving that thing, Joe. But Tim, obviously, classic case of playing blind here. What are some steps that Joe can do on his Virtua Fighter 2 to get it back up and running?
Well, you know, we always jump to look at our video. We can show you. It could be this, could be that. You know, I always start really simple. It did what changed? Did you move it? It could have come unplugged, could have blown a fuse. We want to check those things. Make sure that there's power getting up there. That wasn't your power supply that's no longer producing AC power through it or something like that.
And we've seen sometimes if you have fuses in the bottom of your game and a fuse, maybe you have a fuse going to your isolation transformer. If that fuse goes out, you know, then you could have a non-working monitor, even though that's not a monitor issue, right?
So first thing we want to make sure, but if 120 is getting up there, then he's probably right. He's playing blind. Something happened. Usually something in the high voltage section went out. Maybe a hot, maybe it's just a cap or whatever. But it's a good time that he can watch our video on troubleshooting games or playing blind. One of the best videos I think that we've shot, because it goes into literally everything that it could be. We won't spend a lot of time on that here because there's literally several things that it could be.
Sure.
But we go through that on step by step to try to determine, and it could be a flyback, a lot of things that it could be. But if he'll watch our video and follow those steps, that should help him. But first of all, we want to make sure that we are getting power up there and that it is a monitor issue and that something else didn't come unplugged, a fuse didn't blow or something like that. Of course, you know, back in the day when we would go to auctions, it says probably a fuse, and we would get a game and we'd see the fuse was blown. We'd get all excited, but just because the fuse is blown, we got to understand what caused that fuse to blow. There still may be a problem with your monitor, even if it's just a fuse. Even if it comes back on the next time, keep an eye on it because it could be something more serious. It's causing a burst, I guess if you want to say it that way, of high voltage to come through and blow that fuse like that. So keep an eye out. Check your power supply. Check your cords. I can't stress how many times just a damaged cord or something can cause one broken wire. Stuff like that could really cause some issues.
For sure, Tim. And like Tim mentioned, our video on troubleshooting games that are playing blind goes into more of this kind of issue. But if you let us know what kind of monitor chassis you have, the make and model, we can help you troubleshoot it more. Because, you know, Tim, we're kind of going on this generic kind of, oh, well, you know, it's if the fuse is bad, then it could be high, could be flyback, something on a high voltage line. Exactly. But when we know the monitor model, then we can tell you, oh, you need to look in this section, you need to look in that section. Like we did with the K4600. It's like we know on that one, you know, high voltage issues are diodes or hot or flyback. We also know the voltage regulators play a part. But if we don't know your monitor make and model, then we can't help you troubleshoot it anymore. So, Joe, if you want to get back to us with your make and model of your monitor, then we can help you out further. But Tim,
and by all means, if you don't know or you have no clue, just take a picture, send it to us. We'd like to see a picture of that cabinet, see if it's a big boat anchor.
And I will say this, AI does not do a great job of identifying chassis yet, Tim. Because people, I've seen posts on Reddit and on Facebook in some of the help groups where it's like, I put this chassis in ChatGPT and it didn't know what it was. And I could look at it in 1 second and tell you it's a K7000. You know? Right. So we've seen a lot of monitor chassis. So if you need help identifying it, pictures are great. Send some pictures over. Let us take a look at it. But Tim, let me go ahead and put the slide up here so we can talk about it. So the first step would be to make sure your monitor is getting power like Tim mentioned. Check the voltage wires going up to the monitor chassis with a multimeter to see if you're getting a good rating. And as we usually talk about, it should be about 120, even going through the isolation transformer, maybe closer to 110, just depending. So if the voltage is correct, then you are probably having an issue with your monitor chassis on that high voltage line. Follow where the voltage comes into the monitor chassis and trace it around. Some common failure points are fuses, the hot, the horizontal output transistors, the flyback. And like we mentioned, check out our post on troubleshooting games that are playing blind for more information. And if you need additional help, please let us know the make and model of your monitor chassis. Make and model, so important. But Tim, there's a picture of a Virtua Fighter 2 cabinet, and looking at it actually makes my back hurt. It makes my back hurt. Yeah. Exactly, just looking at that makes my back hurt. It's just amazing. And Tim, I don't know why that cabinet is so heavy. Do you have any ideas?
I guess just it has a lot of extra wood in it, and like it's got that front piece. And I don't know. It's just a beast.
It is. And the thing is, it's not any, physically size-wise, it's not any larger than any other cabinet, I feel like,
They made it out of oak or something. That thing is tough.
Yeah, it must be, I think it's the wood that it's made out of, like you said. It's not anything with the design of the cabinet, shape of the cabinet, because it's no different than any other cabinet.
2x4s or something.
But yeah, they made it with some heavy-duty wood. So, again, just looking at that picture makes my back hurt, Tim. And I hope I never have to move another one of those cabinets ever again. So, and here's the thing, 25-inch monitor. Like, we move 25-inch monitor cabinets all the time. Mm-hmm. Anyway. So, Joe, good luck moving it, and then good luck getting it also working as well. So,
live chat, if you've got a cabinet you think is heavier than that, what do you got over
there?
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, I'd love to hear. That's a great one, Tim.
Besides the X-Men 6-player or something.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you what are some heavy arcade cabinets that you
hate to move?
Yeah, exactly. But Virtua Fighter is definitely there, Tim. I should also mention that Virtua Fighter is usually 25 kilohertz. It's medium res, Tim.
Yes.
So something to keep in mind. I know Virtua Fighter 1 is. I'm not sure about Virtua Fighter 2. I want to say, though, that they're both medium res.
Okay.
So
I didn't remember that.
So it's probably got a medium res monitor in there, which means it's probably something less common than what we normally see. So, but just take pictures and we can tell you what it is, I'm sure. So, yeah. So to the chat, if you have a cabinet that you just feel like was super ultra heavy, let us know in the live chat. I would like to know that as well. I was trying to think of any other cabinets. The Blitz Showtime is pretty heavy, but it's not nearly as bad as the Virtua Fighter, I feel like.
Well, my Seawolf wasn't too light.
Yeah, the Seawolf. Anything that's got like metal pieces in it, Tim, I feel like is pretty rough. So
I always think of those the ones with the guns and stuff like Terminator and stuff.
Yes.
Really heavy.
Yes. Operation Wolf.
The Operation Wolf.
Yes. Oh my
those
goodness.
are some really heavy
well,
ones.
What was the Steel Gunner? Remember the Steel Gunner? Yeah, Steel Gunner was a heavy one. Dragon Punch Dave says I had to move 5 midway cabs into one of my bedrooms, which is now my arcade room. Just me and the wife. Yeah, that's all. Midway cabinets are pretty heavy in themselves.
I got a midway cabinet.
Yeah, they're not too bad, thankfully. He says it wasn't fun at all. Totally get that. Moving cabinets is not fun regardless of the weight, but there are some that are heavier than others. The Steel Gunner, Tim, I remember like that, like you were mentioning too. The ones with the potentiometer-based light guns, those suck.
But he did say he moved them into his bedroom?
Yes, into one of his bedrooms, which is now his arcade room.
You got to keep that wife.
Yeah, that's right. She helped you for sure.
Yeah, and it helped you move them in? Wow. That'd be pretty cool.
I was trying to think
Can't sleep at night, just get up and play a game.
Yeah, so Revolution X falls into your
Yes, that's the game I was trying to think of.
Revolution X is definitely one.
It's like the Aerosmith game.
Yes, the Aerosmith game.
I couldn't think of it.
Same cabinet, though. I think that and Terminator 2 are the same cabinet.
Yeah.
Technically. But Operation Wolf only had 1 gun, but it felt just as heavy as the one that had 2 guns to me. I don't know what the deal is.
I just remember back in the day, all these operators would be loading up their trucks. There'd always be an Operation Wolf that they couldn't get in there, and they're like, anybody want it? They can have it. I don't know why I bid $5 on that thing. And,
Dance Dance Revolution. If you want to go with something that's odd, and the reason why
it's got wheels.
The cabinet and the panels have wheels, but remember us pushing it up the ramp into the truck?
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
Now the little, what do you call it? The mats, the metal mats, especially if you have the dual, because the dual they're linked. Like you can unhook them, but I didn't want to unhook them when we moved it in there. So I mean, it was a pain to move the metal mat kind of thing. So, but anyway, all that kind of stuff not fun. So. Okay, Tim, now this next question is not necessarily like an actual kind of question, but I thought it was interesting, and I did reply to it, and it comes from our YouTube page, Tim. It's from skystormking.
Okay.
And they write, every arcade that has a House of the Dead 4 always has a broken light gun, and it's always on the player 1 gun, so you have to pay twice to use the player 2 gun. And I put the Y at the end, okay? Because I'm like, well, why is this the case, right? So... Tim, with House of the Dead 4 is a little bit different because it is a newer game. It is not. It does not work on like the optical style guns that we had with like earlier House of the Dead. Right. It's more based on infrared, kind of like what we have with like a Wii controller or something like that. And so, why is it that the 1-player gun is always broken, but the 2-player gun always works? And like you'll put the credits in. And
so, is it a lot like Alien Extermination that we used to have?
Probably something more like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, any game, the Jurassic Parks and stuff. Seriously, sit there for 10 minutes and watch kids play it. Yeah. And they just move them and shake them and sling them and go up and down.
So Alien Extermination, was that a free-handed gun or was it a mounted gun?
It was mounted, but it used the light.
So these are not potentiometer based. These are infrared. So there's an LED shroud that goes around the outside of the screen, and so they work like normal light guns, but it has an LCD in it. You pick it up. Yeah.
Well, if you pick it up, you also drop it.
Exactly.
And you sword fight with it, and you do everything else with it. And kids are just really rough. So the problem is that you can't make a metal gun. It would be too expensive, and somebody probably would hurt somebody with it.
Right.
So they have to use basically cheap plastics, and the parts in there can only handle so much abuse. When I was an operator, we did everything we could. We would put chains and stuff on them so they couldn't hit the floor. We put padding. We tried everything, and they still broke them. So why? It's simple. They get abused like crazy. Now, one thing that can happen is any kind of game with wiring and stuff, you also are bending and stretching and moving those wires. The wires are generally very thin, and they do tend to break over time too. So, man, a good question, but if I had to guess, I'm 99% sure it's just from abuse of getting played. You had one in your house, you could probably have it 10, 15 years before you need a gun.
Right. So, Tim, I did go to the manual for House of the Dead 4, and I also put the link to the manual down in the show notes for skystormking. Obviously, it doesn't sound like he has one, but I did want to talk a little bit about it because it works on a different...
It's frustrating when he goes to the arcade that every one he goes to, that first player gun which gets the most plays, by the way,
Yep.
Is always broken.
For sure.
That'd be why.
So I'm going to go ahead and put this up real quick. So yes, we have noticed this because like Tim mentioned, player 1 is the one that gets used the most because it is the one that people go to first. So, but you got to remember, House of Dead 4 uses an LCD monitor, which means this is not like the traditional optical style that we have with like the police trainer that we have here behind us, Tim, or with some of the classic games that had CRTs in it. Tim, this uses kind of infrared setup similar to like a Nintendo Wii, okay? So there's a sensor unit inside the gun that actually senses the LED shroud that's around the monitor, okay? And that's how it knows when you're pointing at the screen, is that basically that sensor picks up the LED, one of the LED sensors that goes around the monitor, letting it know, oh, it's in this area of the monitor, right?
Right.
And so, but not only that, it has a speed sensor in it, kind of like the Wiimote. Like when you would wave the Wiimote around, it knows like how fast it's kind of tracking the speed. So there's a speed sensor inside the gun too. So not only do you have a sensor unit that hits the LED shroud that's around the game, but you also have a speed sensor inside the gun as well. Unlike a traditional light gun game, which only has a single sensor, a single optical sensor. This has two sensors. That means there's two more things that can break whenever you're going to do it.
That's a great way to put it.
Right, there's
more
two
things that can break.
Right, but not only that, unlike CRTs, which basically have its own reflective surface and can triangulate based on just the optical sensor, you have to have the LED shroud working around the monitor too. And so if any of those LEDs go out, then the tracking dies as well. And so you have to replace the individual LEDs, which it shows you how to do in the manual if you're curious about that. But you have to make sure all of those LEDs are working. And Tim, you know, LEDs, they talk about how long they last and everything like that. But when you have them on in an arcade for, 15 hours a day or whatever it is, like over time, some of those LEDs will go out. And that's going to cause some of your tracking on the guns to go wacky as well whenever it does.
Right.
And so in order for this game to work, you have to have the LED shroud all working around it. And you have to have both sensors inside each of the guns working. Well, as you can imagine, Tim, like you said, with the lightsaber battles and everything else that goes on with light guns, it doesn't take much to throw these things into, mass chaos. Just breaking one of the two sensors in the gun or having an LED problem around the monitor shroud is going to cause issues. And so that's basically what I'm saying here. House of the Dead 4 uses an LCD monitor that tracks the light guns using a similar infrared setup to a Nintendo Wii. And check the sensor unit. So JPT 2030, that's the one that's in the tip of the gun, Tim. And then the speed sensor, which is kind of near the middle of the gun, and that's part number 8391280. Okay, and ensure both those sensors are working properly. Make sure that the LED board that surrounds the monitor is working as well. And if you see one out on location that needs repair, Tim, feel free to pass along our email to the owner, and we'd be happy to help them troubleshoot it. Boom. Okay. Because there's a lot of games that use this setup besides House of the Dead 4. I believe Ghost Squad, Tim, would be another Sega game that uses this. And there's a couple others as well that use this kind of LED surround setup with the speed sensor and the sensor unit inside. And so this is a very common setup now because all the monitors have gone to LCD. And so they haven't really made a monitor that works natively with LCD. So it's just easier to have the LED shroud surround. And that lets the gun know, oh, I'm within the bounds of the monitor, basically.
Good.
So,
good way to put it.
So if you see one out and it's broken, let us know. We'd be happy to help whoever it is troubleshoot it, for sure. But really, probably what they need to do is just replace the sensors in the gun, Tim. It may be the optical sensor, it may be the speed sensor. If either one of those go bad, the gun stops working properly. So there we go, Tim. Anything else here about House of the Dead 4, any kind of light guns like that?
I don't think so. Anybody in the live chat chiming in on it?
I don't know about that, but we got some other things they're chiming on. Let's see. Miss Man Live says, "What's up? Nice to see you again. I remember moving my Sega Aereo City with Extinction. It has, and its weight was insane. Cheers from the Netherlands." So there you go. He's in the Netherlands.
Nice.
So yeah, the Sega Candy style cabinets, Tim, are heavy, but a lot of times they're on wheels.
Right.
Which is nice. Now, if you need to get them upstairs,
right.
That's a little bit different. But yeah, some of those candy caps can have some massive weight because, Tim, some of those candy caps are metal. Like they either are metal bottom or they're fully metal. And so anytime you're dealing with something that's entirely encased in metal, it's probably going to be pretty heavy. PWC, I have a scramble upright that was converted to Mr. Do. It seems the conversion hacking is failing. Do I repair it as is or reconvert to scramble? If so, how? Thanks. So, when you say failing, like what's going on with it here? It would be the main question. Are you having sprite issues? Is there logic issues? Like, what does the screen look like? Is it just come up and it's frozen? That's kind of what we need to look at here. So, I mean, what's going on with your board that you're saying that it's like the hacking is failing? Because, I mean, most of the times for board conversions, it's just a matter of maybe a couple of ROM style switches and maybe a couple of RAM style switches and maybe a processor change, just depending on the game. And so it's not like it's unless they did like a full on hack job, Tim, of some sort, where they actually hacked up another board.
He's going from a scramble to
Mr. Do. It was converted.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of rewiring and stuff. So I would probably go back to the original game
if you wanted to. I mean, that would be up to you. When he says dim monitor sprite issues on the Mr. Do. So, I mean, it's up to you as you wanted to do. On most cabinets, we like to take it back to original. But if you prefer Mr. Do over Scramble, leave it on Mr. Do would be my thing. If you're having sprite issues and a dim monitor, on the monitor, of course, dim monitor stuff, typically we go with like CapKit a lot of times if we're having dim monitor. Of course, try the adjustments if you haven't already, because sometimes that'll help.
Yeah.
But, so a lot of times, though, if you're having, like, dim monitor issues, CapKit, a lot of times that is actually something that a CapKit can be good for. And so you may want to install a CapKit. As far as the sprite issues go, check your power supply going to the board, make sure it's correct, all the voltages are correct going to your board, and then press down on any RAM chips that are on the board or any socketed chips on the board, period. We talk about that in our video and post on inspecting an arcade board, right, Tim? Mm-hmm. And so you can always go to that for some great techniques on how to maybe get that board back up and running. But it's up to you. If you want to take it back to a Scramble, I see no problem with that. But what do you prefer? Do you prefer to play Mr. Do or Scramble?
Yeah,
maybe that'll answer the question, right? Exactly. Right. So, let's see. Jason chimes in. Jason said put a 16-1 in and set one or both. Those two games play and sound fine on the 16-1. So you could go that route. That's not a bad idea either, because you could do like a 2-game setup, or just leave the 16-1 in there if you wanted to. We prefer probably to leave things more original than that. But if your cabinet is hacked to shreds already, and here's the thing: you can get JAMA adapters for almost every game board.
Yeah.
So it may be good for you to just dump all the wiring, wire it JAMA, buy an adapter for your Mr. Do board, or get a 16-1, and JAMA wiring gives you a lot of options, right, Tim? Mm-hmm. So it gives you the option to put a 16-1 in there. It gives you the option to probably put a Mr. Do in there with a conversion adapter. It gives you a lot of different options. And
there's a lot of times when we run into those rat's nests of somebody else's wiring, we pulled everything out before and just started over.
Yeah, you can get if you want to get a brand new harness too, just for Mr. Do and just rewire it that way, you could. That may help a lot with your issues. Sprite issues, though, a lot of times are more power supply or board based. So that's something to always keep in mind. Probably not a wiring issue there. But it's up to you. Again, kind of whatever your preference is. So I actually want to BitKit it. If you want to do that, that's fine too. Tim, BitKit is a multi-game board you're probably familiar with. It's a very nice one. Way nicer than the 16-1. And so if you want to go that route, do it, man. Because BitKit is a better alternative to a 16-1 to me. It's a little bit more, it's more expensive, but it also emulates way better than what you get with a 16-1. Nice. As we know, a lot of the games on the 16-1, not so great. Mm-hmm. So the problem is the harness is cut up, is so cut up and required. If that's the case, if like Tim mentioned, just gut it and start over with a brand new JAMA harness in there, especially if you're going with BitKit. And if you need a new JAMA harness, we can't say enough good things about the Holland Computers one. So Holland Computers, RetroArcade.us has one of the best JAMA harnesses you can buy. So go that route if you need one. So. Okay, Tim, let us go to our next questions. Now, Tim, I bundled these next two kind of together.
Okay.
Because both these questions are about missing color issues with monitors.
Okay.
And so I thought we would just troubleshoot them both together. That way we didn't have to do them individually, because it's pretty much the same stuff. Before, I kind of felt like with the earlier questions, there was a little bit of difference because we had one that was playing blind, one that technically we didn't know. So, but these two questions are very similar. And so let's go ahead and take a look at these both together. Now, the first question is from Joe, Tim. And Joe writes, "Hello, I've recently come across your videos on YouTube, and I was wondering if you could look at this picture of a tapper machine I'm going to buy and tell me what you think the possible causes could be for the monitor being green in color like it is. I know it is probably hard to tell in the picture, but the overwhelming color of green shows up. Thanks." So, Tim, here's, you can see even this picture, which is not a big picture by any means, but even in this picture, you can probably tell me what's missing. What's missing, Tim?
What's missing from that?
There's a color missing. What color is missing?
Everything. Red is
missing, right? We've got green and blue, but we're missing the red. So that's why you're getting this overwhelming green color, is because you're not getting the red. Right, exactly. So that's definitely a color issue. And then let's go ahead and couple that, Tim, with this question from MusicMan0150, who says, I go to an arcade that's a few games where the screen is purple, no green. Or during the change of scene, there's a very dark green image. In other words, when the monitor is black, it's kind of a greenish instead of black. Is this involving the color drivers or white balance adjustments? What about colors totally missing? Not from the game board, but on the monitor itself. So, Tim, we got two questions here, really. We've got the Tapper question and then this one from Music Man about like missing colors and kind of having that greenish black screen, which we've probably seen before. So, Tim, let's just talk about missing colors in general. So what are some things when we're getting these missing colors, like we're missing the red or we're missing the green? What are some things that we can check on monitors to see if we can solve what's going on?
Well, one of the first things I like to check is the wiring.
Sure.
And making sure that the red wire in that case didn't come undone. Or you want to flip it over, check for cold, cracked solder joints around those areas where the pins come in.
Yeah.
But if it truly is, a lot of times it's the we would always try to adjust it, making sure that it didn't, somebody just monkey with it or something, it didn't come out of adjustment. So you would check but then if you're changing the cutoff drive and stuff and nothing's happening, it's probably the transistors that are located there, or it actually could be caps and stuff. But most of the time, it's on that board, the neck board itself, where you're going to have the issues.
Some monitor chassis have two sets. They have one on the main chassis and one on the neck, and some on the neck board. It just depends on the monitor chassis. But most of the time, they are located on the neck board. Now, Tim, there's another one that you did not mention that's much more rare, but does happen, and that's if the tube is bad.
The tube is bad.
Right, exactly. So one of the guns on the tube is on fire.
How to test the tube.
Right, exactly.
You need to watch that video. Which exact video is that on, Jonathan?
It's on checking a monitor tube.
Okay, we're checking a monitor tube.
Right.
Do that because that'll show you, your monitor will show red, and you'll know it's not the tube itself, although it is possible. You're right.
Now, one thing I want to go back to Music Man about, because we talked kind of about the missing color, but he talked about like what happens when you have a black screen and you're getting kind of a greenish.
A lot of green.
Yeah, a lot of green on that black screen. What's going on there, Tim?
Well, most of the time it's too much. It's like it's bleeding through.
Right.
You're getting an over thing on your drive. Sometimes that can be adjusted. Sometimes adjusting the black level will help that. Your contrast, all those.
And you said something key there though, like drive. A lot of times when we're getting like whole picture green, it's because the green drive is too much.
Yes.
The cutoff has to do with things that are supposed to be green on the screen, whereas the drive is more like the overall green on the screen. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And so like the drive is probably turned up too high on the green if you're getting a greenish screen when you should be getting a black screen. So you need to dial those in. Tim, there's a lot of arcade boards that have color adjustment grids and charts that you can use to dial in those colors. And so what we'd recommend is that if you do have like a screen that's supposed to be black but it's green, boot it in test mode, get those color screens to come up, or if you have a test pattern generator of some sort, hook that up and then adjust the monitor to where all those bars are filled out properly.
Yeah.
So,
if I had a monitor and you said, I need to fix this, that would be one of the best case scenarios.
Right.
It's kind of one of the easier areas to troubleshoot and figure out what the problem is, and very few parts.
Exactly. So, Tim, I'm going to go ahead and put this up so we can talk about it real quick. So, this goes to Joe and MusicMan0150 here. Missing colors can be attributed to several items on the monitor chassis. The color drive / cutoff pots might need to be adjusted or replaced. The color drive transistors could have gone bad. The monitor input wiring or pins could be damaged. That's all stuff that Tim talked about. Of course, we can give you more troubleshooting advice for this issue if we know the make and model of the monitor chassis, Tim, we talked about earlier. But you can also check out our post and video on checking a monitor tube for more information about missing color issues like this. And of course, Tim, the one that you really don't want to have is a bad tube. If one of the guns in the tube, one of the color guns in the tube has gone bad, you're kind of out of luck. Okay, you need to get another tube that has that gun. And Tim, this will also happen if you put the neck board on and bend a pin.
Yes.
Right? Like if you don't make sure that all of those pins on the end of the neck board socket match up just right, and you end up bend or breaking a pin, that may be it for you too. So you got to be very careful when you're putting on neck boards on the back of monitor tubes, because it is very easy to bend one of those pins and possibly break it. And at that point, you're out of luck. So anything else here, Tim, for Joe, Music Man 0150 before we move on?
No, let's go.
So Joe did not say how much the tapper was, Tim.
That's
he
a
just
beautiful
said, and
game.
it looks like it's coming out of an arcade of some sort. There was a full picture with the carpet as well that I didn't. I just cropped the top so we could get a better view of the screen. But Tim, this is a pretty easy fix. That's the good news. So Joe, if you buy this, like we talked about, check our video on checking a monitor tube with the color drive transistors and check all that stuff. You can probably get it fixed pretty easily. I don't know what they're charging you for, Tim, but what would you pay for a tapper in that kind of condition?
Ooh, it's pretty.
It is very pretty. Let me put it back up here real quick.
So you just don't run across them as often as we used to.
The cabinet is beautiful. And for those of you guys who may be listening on the podcast feed, it looks.
I would say anything under $1,000, you better pick it up.
Yeah, I would think so too. Especially if Tapper is one of your favorite games for sure.
Just a guess, but
and it's an easy fix, thankfully. Now it also has a card swipe on it, Tim, as you can see, which they'll probably remove whenever they sell it to you. I'd imagine they usually take those card swipes off. But that means that, I mean, the operator was probably taking pretty good care of it up to this point if it was in an arcade and looks like that. You don't come across tappers that look that good very often.
Yeah,
so
it looks good.
I think if it's 1,000 or under, I think you pull the trigger on it.
Yeah.
Even with the red missing. So, for sure. So, always good to get pictures. Always good to get
the real
stuff
picture.
like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Cool
actual pictures of the actual stuff. So, going over to the live chat, Tim, we got joysticks. Question: got an NBA Jam game? Let's see, but will not start when pressing the 1-player or 2-player buttons. So it loads, game loads, but will not start when pressing the 1-player, 2-player buttons. So the first question is, have you coined it up?
Yeah, is it showing credit?
Right. So
on the screen?
Most arcade games require you to coin them up before you can actually start a game, as you probably know. Tim, we have a video on setting games on free play and adding credits to a game. It's the same video, but that shows you how to add credits to a game or how to convert them to free play. NBA Jam is new enough that it has a free play mode that you can set. If you set, I think it's in the software dips, so you may have to set that. It may be in the hardware dips. Check the manual for that just to make sure. But you can set it on free play, and then it should work. But you need to make sure it has credits. If it has credits and it's still not coining up, then you need to check the buttons as well. Yeah. Make sure that the buttons are operating properly. Tim, we see this all the time where the ground wire comes, daisy chain breaks, and basically everything past the break stops working, all the controls stop working, and it could be that's what happened with your 1 and 2 player buttons. And so just get up in your control panel and make sure that those 1 and 2 player buttons are wired properly and that they're grounded properly. Tim, continuity test is your best friend. Just put one end of it on the ground for the 1-player button and 2-player buttons, and put the other end on another ground. Just see if you get beep test all the way around.
All right.
So, and if you are, you should be in good shape. So, again, make sure it has credits. You might want to set on free play. Check the NBA Jam manual for instructions on how to do that. And then, if all that works, check the wiring to the 1-player and 2-player buttons. Check the ground wiring specifically. Make sure that it is grounded to, that it's in the ground wire daisy chain and that there's not a break somewhere causing an issue. So, anything else, Tim?
No.
Okay.
So, tell if it's on free play or not. Now, if it's on free play, you definitely have a button wiring issue, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
And also just remember, just because you flick the switch one time, it may be set on 4 coins or something. So, let us know more, and we'll help you more.
Yeah. In fact, there's a lot of different things for NBA Jam. You may have to buy a full game before you can coin it, before you can start it. Some of them require that. Some of them let you buy it a quarter at a time, literally. So you put 1 quarter in, that plays 1 quarter of the game. So it just depends on how the game is set, for sure. Well, Tim, it's time. It's been a while.
Been a little bit.
But once again, we are coming back to the quick question and answer section of the show, Tim. And for those of you guys who may not have been here like 5 or 6 episodes ago when we used to do this, this is where we rapid fire 5 questions at Tim, and then he rapid fires 5 answers back. These are not as long as the questions that we've already covered in the show. And so that's why we're going to do them a little bit quicker than we do the other questions. And so, Tim, we have 3 really quick questions here that I think you'll be able to rapid fire out some answers to pretty quickly. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at those right now. We have a question from Jason5667. Do you use EMI filters, Tim? So do you use EMI filters? That's question 1. MrGameNfit says, does the CRT need to be discharged prior to using the alligator clips on the neck board? He's talking about for the checking a monitor tube. Tim, like do I need to discharge the monitor prior to using the alligator clips on the neck board to check the tube? And then we have Gamingo G Guy Verix 6812, and they write, what number is supposed to show up if a fuse is bad? Okay, so and I think he's talking about on the multimeter. Like, what's the number on the multimeter? So let's just summarize these questions real quick. Do you use EMI filters? This is the first one from Jason. Does the CRT need to be discharged prior to using alligator clips on the neckboard to check the tube? From MrGameNfit. And then Gamingo says, what number is supposed to show up if a fuse is bad? So Tim, let's go ahead and take these real quick. Okay, that first one, do we use EMI filters, Tim?
Well, we do like them,
Yep.
but they're not as necessarily but really on the oldest games.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
if they're there, why not?
Yeah, I think the good rule of thumb is if the game had it originally, put it back in.
Right.
That's kind of our solution there. So, so we usually do keep them in games. And Tim, there's times where I'll just put them in anyway, just because I feel good about having them in there. So MrGameNfit had the one about checking the monitor tube. He says, do I need to discharge the monitor before I do the tube check?
Not necessarily, because you got to have power on. Just be careful.
Yes, this is something to be extremely careful with, because you do need to have the monitor on when you're doing this, okay?
Right.
Now, like Michael says in the video, the nice thing is that you can kind of touch stuff back there and you're really not going to hurt anything, but there is high voltage going back there, so it's not a bad idea to take extra safety precautions whenever you're doing it, but discharging it, not required.
It won't do any good because you're going to power it back on.
Correct, exactly. And then Gamingo, Tim, we have the continuity test. So if I'm checking a fuse and I don't have the beep, okay, so I don't know, how can I just look at my meter and say, oh, that's a bad fuse?
It should drop immediately down close to 0, if not 0.
Right.
It should go, you should see it fall really quick.
Yeah, I think the terminology I like to use is tends towards 0.
Yes.
It tends towards 0. It may not be exactly 0, but it tends towards 0.
Right. Close to 0.
Very exactly. It should be going to 0. If you get 1, that's the wrong direction. So 1 is bad. Right? So if a good fuse should read 0. So there you go. Okay, Tim, let's go ahead and throw this up here real quick so we can take a look at it. So on Jason's question, yes, we do like to use EMI filters, especially if the game had one originally installed. Sometimes we'll put them in there, just depending. And Tim, if you look at the AC wiring scheme that Bob Roberts shows, he does always show having one in there. So, I mean, it's kind of up to you at this point, though. Not required, but we still like to put them in there whenever we have one. If we have one around or if the game originally had it. MrGameNfit, the monitor must be powered on so you can see the response on the screen in order to do the tube test with the alligator clips. Exercise extreme caution while doing this and be careful not to hold the end of the wire on the pins too long, Tim. If you do hold it too long, it will damage it. Yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So just quick pops, you can tell real, like 1/1000, 2/1000, you can tell if it's good or not, right? It doesn't take any more than 2 seconds to tell the response in the screen. And on Gamingo, we perform a simple continuity check with a multimeter to make sure a fuse is not blown. A good fuse will generate a beeping sound or will read 0 or close to it. Like we said, it'll tend towards 0 if it's good. And that's an ohm reading, Tim. That's what you have to keep in mind. That's ohms. So set your multimeter on continuity or ohms. And then when you put it on, if it's good, it should get to 0, close to it. 0.05 sometimes or less, Tim, is what you'll get. And then, again, when you separate them, should be closer to 1 whenever you separate. So not all multimeters have a continuity check, so you may be using the ohm check on that. And if you are, again, just tends towards 0 is what you're looking for. Tim, anything else on any of these questions before we move on?
No.
Sounds good. So Jason, MrGameNfit, and Gamingo hopefully answered your questions. And if you have any additional questions or follow-ups about any of these, let us know and we'll help you out further. Okay, Tim, well, we're actually going to do a tech tip. So no quiz this month. But the reason there's no quiz is because we have some really interesting content that is a little different than usual. So we got a question from Cletus, Tim, who's an arcade technician. Okay. He's at a go-kart place.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. And so Cletus wrote in, and so this tech tip is about common Molex connectors. And this was Cletus's question, Tim. He says, I am trying to find a kit of common connectors and pins that are used in arcade games. I know there are Molex, JST, and a few others, like as far as the name brand stuff goes. I was wondering if there's a good kit to get that have almost all of them, if not all of the male and female connectors to at least get me started. I am not looking for the terminal connection kits, Tim. Those are easy to find. As we know, terminal connection kits are easy. He's looking for the actual Molex connectors and the pins. And so, Tim, what we have here is he's looking for a kit. Now, we should say right off the bat, we weren't able to find anybody selling a kit like this online.
If somebody in the chat room knows, let us know. Some of you guys may have run across that. I have not. So
what Tim has here is his kit he built.
My kit.
Okay, which is made out of like just a little kind of like fishing tackle box style thing, right? Or electronic kit box, okay? So Tim, show us what's in your Molex kit. This is our Tim's tech tip for Cletus here.
So I keep a various number of things, various sizes. I'll have male and females. so that I could make a connection really quick if I wanted to.
So we should say like what these are. So this right here,
like this one,
there's a 3-pin that you use like with a lot of AC or monitor style wiring. And again, you want to keep male and female pins with that.
Yeah. So I have some like AC monitor type.
Like this guy right here is the 12-pin that you see on a lot of power supplies, right?
Yes.
So or control panels. And so this is a 12-pin Molex adapter. And Tim, when you buy this, like if you buy this 12-pin, it comes with pins usually and both sides of the socket, right?
Right.
So you get kind of that with it.
Then you also have like these red kind, what do you want to call it? Rust-colored ones.
Great for monitors.
Some games use those 2 wires. I keep some of them in there. I don't see any of the monitor style ones. Probably for whatever reason, I must have used them. I haven't opened up this kit in a while. I keep a lot of zip ties, and then of course I have a lot of different sizes of pins, the Molex pins.
So when you buy the connectors, they do come with the pins a lot of times, especially if you buy them from like Mike's Arcade or something like that. So you will get the pins included with that, and so it's good just to buy, probably 5 sets of each of the Molex connectors on like Mike's Arcade, kind of gets you close to what.
And then I keep like ties that would wire ties and stuff that you could tie up, but just a good selection. So what I would do is, main thing is get you your own box or kit, and then now what you can buy is, buy 4 or 5 3-pins.
Yes.
Buy 4 or 5 6-pins. Buy 4 or 5 2-pin connectors. I would go with some basic 3, 4, 5, and 6.
And the 12s
maybe
too.
1 12 just for the power supply.
Yeah.
But this is just an example. I made my own kit. It's nothing fancy, and actually that one needs to be replenished, but different sizes and stuff like that. I just kind of make my own kit. So think about what you use every day and just kind of make your own kit. And back in the day, I even have some that probably label what's in everything. Eventually I could just look at it and tell, oh, that's 0.156 or something. I would pull that up. Also, I would keep like a pin extractor in there.
Yeah.
Normally I have one, and that one I told John, I said, I don't know where mine is. I must have lost it. It's probably in my soldering kit. But keep a pin extractor in there. Any other little things. I keep zip ties, little parts or some screws in there. Some stuff like that. So,
and I think the monitor too, like the like little, what is it, like 8-pin monitor adapter with the 5
yes.
and the 3.
Now the ones I normally have have those and the pins that go in them too. You know.
And while we're talking about JAMA pins as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that go into into harnesses
into the
and
harness.
Stuff, those are very handy.
I would put some of those in there. I actually have a really bigger kit. It's a little thicker and stuff. I should have brought it. It actually has probably the one I use more. This was more of a beginner's kit that I had a long time ago, and I just thought, well, I'll bring it just to kind of show. I don't know of anybody that sells anything like that. Bob Roberts used to sell stuff like that. I haven't checked his site in a long time for anything like that, but you can make your own. And if you're doing repairs like that all the time, those you can get a lot of times at Harbor Freight or something, and they just work really good. Amazon carries a lot of those.
Well, I was going to say, if you're looking for the connectors, like the Molex.
Fish and tackle box works pretty good.
If you're looking for the connectors of the Molex, Mike's Arcade has like an entire section of just Molex connectors that I just say pick 3 of each or whatever it is from that. Arcade Parts and Repair, you can get the Molex connectors there as well. Any of their suppliers for the most part, Twisted Quarter has them as well.
Yeah.
Any of the suppliers that we recommend on our website under our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources is probably going to have a good selection of Molex connectors that are used in arcade.
Yeah, you want to make sure you get both sides of pins that go in there. Both kind of pin extractors, the smaller and the bigger one. And then, you depending on how you do your kits, you could have some wire strippers or something in there, some crimpers. One post you might really enjoy is my first arcade toolbox. Remember, my first one literally was a tackle box.
Yes.
And that's what we opened it up, and we kept a lot of different tools in there. I'm not sure if there's a picture of that in our thing, but my first arcade toolbox was a tackle box. So tackle box equipment tends to work pretty good.
Especially when you're putting the little small kind of pins. And like Tim mentioned, the 2 different sizes of pins. So the bigger pins a lot of times are for more power kind of issue things, and the smaller pins are a lot of times for more control panels or coin doors. And so you want to make sure that you have both sets of Molex connectors and pins, the bigger size Molex pins and the smaller size. I forget what the sizes are.
It's like 0.15. Somebody help me out in the chat room. It's been so, I mean, you can tell I don't work on games every day. 0.156 and 0.93 connectors or something like that.
Something like that, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
so you want to make sure you have both those in there because you never know what you never know what you're going to come across, just depending. And I mean, yes, guys, you can do without the Molex connectors. You can wire things directly to each other. But man, when you're working on a control panel, Tim, and you can unplug that control panel and take it off the game, makes a world of difference in your repair. I promise. Like, I mean, it just makes things so much less of a headache. Same thing with monitors. When you pull the monitor out, you don't want to have to cut the power wires. You want to just be able to unplug it and be good. So, you know, buy a good set of Molex connectors. Keep a little kit like what Tim has, and then I think you'll be in good shape going forward.
So. Basically, unless somebody knows of a kit, and it may be a good idea for somebody to put one together and sell, you're going to have to make your own.
There you go. So, Cleus, hopefully answers your question. Let us know what, you know, when you end up putting yours together, what it all looks like. We'd love to see what yours does. And if somebody else has a common connector Molex kit that they would like to show off, please send us an email, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. We want to see it. So,
of course,
Tim's looking at 10
I look
right
it
now.
up, and it's not, they're not showing the size. I just, you know, I bought them in so much
Look at like Mike's Arcade, though.
bulk.
Yeah, I was about to say, look at one of our arcade ones, because, you know, I mean,
my internet's
not
working very good.
The problem is Molex connectors, like, there's only about 2 or 3 sizes that arcade games use, but Tim, as we know, there are like a million different sizes out there, depending, like, for automotive and other uses. And so, you know, it just depends on what you're working on and all that kind of stuff. So,
right,
well, Tim, you can look
at it.
I was about to say, you can look that up while you're doing it, because I'm about to do a little presentation here. So, I went on vacation. Me and Tim already talked about that. And so, Tim, we took a trip to Colorado.
Right.
And we went to real close to Colorado Springs. So if you guys know where that is, we were up there for a week. And we went to Manitou Springs, Tim, which is pretty close to that. And Tim, they had the Manitou Springs Penny Arcade, which has been around since the 1930s.
Wow.
And we went. And so I'm going to share all of the pictures. Tim, this is not all the games, okay? So the first thing you need to know about this place is it started off in just a little building. And then over time, they have basically taken up all the buildings and then put games in between the buildings, the retail spaces that were there before. And so when I show you these pictures, there's kind of games all over the place. And so let's go ahead and take a look at all this real quick, Tim. So here's some of the games. So it says Arcade Amusements Inc. That's the name of the company. Now, Tim, when I walked up, these were the first games that I saw here. I saw a Donkey Kong Jr., a Miss Pac-Man, and a Sky Shark. And they're literally outside, Tim, just with a little awning over it. Okay, so like you walk up, and these are the games that you see just right off the bat, okay? Tim, I also saw the Frogger. Now, you can see these cabinets are kind of busted up, but you have to remember that they are outside in Colorado, Tim. And so, you know, they get worn out pretty good. Missing some T-molding, as you can see on the Donkey Kong Jr., Tim. And you can see how rough, like, the bottoms of the cabinets are and stuff. But a lot of the games were still working, Tim, and that's really what it came down to. And so you can see, this is just, guys, I'm going to throw a lot of pictures up here real quick, and you're going to have a lot to look at. So let's go ahead and do that. Tim, here's some more games here. We have Police Trainer. Now, Tim, I can't tell you how many police trainers I saw. They were converting all sorts of light guns to police trainers, okay? And I'll talk about that here in a second. Tim, you can see a Miss Pac-Man there. Another Miss Pac-Man. I think that's an Operation Wolf, speaking of which. Speaking of heavy games, Tim, got a Donkey Kong there, a Joust, and a couple others there if you're looking down. House of the Dead, Tim, in a dedicated House of the Dead cabinet as well. So, and you can see how these are just lined up basically in between 2 buildings, Tim. Outside. Crazy. Here's some more, Tim. We got an Outrun. Got, I think, Neo Geo there. I think a Street Fighter. I think that's a Ninja Turtles in Time, a 2-player version, Tim, down there. And then we have a Centipede and a Monaco GP. As you can see, those are working, right? So all these games, a lot of the games were working. There
How much was it to play?
They all ran off coins.
Quarters.
Okay. So it's a quarter, sometimes 50 cents, depending on the game. So, and yeah, Real Hammer Billy Lee, that was an Operation Thunderbolt. That's correct. So the other one that we saw. But yeah, they all run off quarters, and they dispense real tickets. The redemptions actually spit out tickets, Tim. They had dollar changers all over, just like a traditional arcade would have back in the day. So, okay, let's go on here, Tim. Okay, there's a Spider-Man, a Tekken 3, another police trainer down there, Tim, if you see. Here's a Lethal Enforcers and a Tron, Tim.
Nice.
Now, again, these cabinets are in pretty rough shape, but you got to remember they've been outside a lot. So, I mean, it is kind of what it is, for sure. So, you know, but still, lots of cool games. Here's some more, Tim. We got a Miss Pac-Man, a Tetris, a Return of the Jedi, Tim. Atari outside, Galaxian. Let's see what else is down there. I don't know if I can see that one. Gore for sure. I can't see that one. That's way down there. And then we have a Space Invaders, a Galaga, a Fortune Teller machine there, and then a Dig Dug. If you look right back there, you can kind of see those. So they had multiples of like all of the classics. They had multiple Galagas, multiple Miss Pac-Mans.
Nice.
So here's some more, Tim. Some that are a little bit newer. People may recognize the X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Tim, which is a classic of mine. I love that game. Mace, the Dark Age. We also had the great, what is it, 1,000 Mile Rally, I think is what it is. And then this gunfight here, Tim, had been converted to a police trainer.
Yeah, I see that.
And you can see a Ghostbusters pinball next to it if you look at it.
Wow.
So, we'll get to the pinball machines here in a second. Now, Tim, these were electromechanical
Skee ball
lanes.
Yeah, wow.
Electromechanical original skee ball lanes.
That's old.
Yes. And you can play them. They were playable. Okay, pretty cool. Then in this one you can see a Robotron, Tim, and you can see like a like an electromechanical shooting game, something rifle. I can't see it real quick. And you can kind of see there's a whole bunch of classic Williams. I think there's another Joust down there and some others in this row here. Continuing on. Okay, Slugfest is on the end, Tim. You probably noticed that. There's a Street Fighter there. I think there's a Guardians of the Galaxy if you look down here.
So
and a couple other ones.
And some old
Everything kind of mixed in here, Tim. And then we got, you can see a couple of classics and you can see a couple of new ones if you just look through. A lot of different pinball machines all over the place, Tim. Here's some more, Tim. These are classics. So there's a Fireball, a Matahari, Tim. And then, I'm not sure what all of these are. Twin Win. Remember Twin Win? I think we've seen that one at Pinball Festival a couple of times. So just a lot of electromechanical stuff. A lot of them still working, like we mentioned. Newer style, Tim. So The Walking Dead. We got Batman. We've got Mustang, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek TNG, which is one of my personal favorites. So kind of newer style pinball machines, 90s and up kind of style. Whoa, Nelly. Okay, which is something you don't see every day.
No.
Hypersports and Tim, they had an X-Men like mine.
Wow.
I haven't seen too many of these out in the wild, Tim. Yeah. They're very, I wouldn't say rare, but they're hard to come across. It's a pro model just like mine is. And so I had to take a picture of that, of course. And let me see if that is it. Do we have, no, that's it. So there you go. What did you think, Tim? That's not even all of them.
Wow. That's crazy.
So the thing is that this arcade started out as a bingo parlor in the 1930s.
Okay.
And then when that kind of went out of date, they converted to coin operated. So around 1930, they were putting electromechanical pinball machines in there, right? And then from there, it just kind of slowly ramped up to full-on coin operated machines, and it's been around for 92 years, Tim, under the same owners, the same family until recently, Tim. And let's go ahead and move into our new segment, and this has to do exactly with that arcade, Tim. It changed hands recently in May of this year.
Wow.
Okay, so after 92 years of ownership by the Kearns family, the iconic Manitou Springs Penny Arcade has a new steward, longtime resident John Weiss, who officially took over in May 2025. The arcade is one of the largest historic arcades west of the Mississippi and houses over 450 vintage coin-operated games and rides. Some of the games date back to the 1930s when it was converted from a bingo parlor to a coin-operated amusement center.
Nice.
This place was crazy, Tim. I mean, my kids had never been to an arcade that actually printed tickets. They don't remember that. And so when they saw this, they were like, oh, this is how things used to work. You know, like you got physical tickets. And so they thought that was really cool. We traded in our tickets. We went to the little redemption counter and they got some stuff. And it was fun.
Good time.
Exactly. And dollar bill changers everywhere. Tim, they had like one of the little retail spaces was just for repair. You could tell, like that was like their office and repair center. I thought to myself, golly, good luck keeping all these things running for sure. So, and I tell you what, it was packed when we were there. I know the pictures kind of look empty, Tim, but there were people everywhere. I was just able to snap pictures kind of when people were moving out of the way. So, but if you're ever in Manitou Springs, go downtown into the downtown area and you will find this Penny Arcade. And I highly suggest you go there if you're a fan of arcades like we are. So, Tim, that was it. Now you found
I got
Molex.
an upgrade.
Okay, go ahead and tell us.
So he was right. If you go to Mike's Arcade, I just typed in Molex.
Yeah.
And I come up with the .093, which is the larger pin.
Right.
.062, which is the smaller pins. And then .156, which is like the monitor pins.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know if they can see this.
So Mike's Arcade, I was about to say.
Oh, they can't see this very good.
There you go.
There you go. Okay,
So.
look at all this. So you can easily, there's the extractors. It's kind of going in and out.
You're not going to be able to, because it's blowing out the camera.
Yeah, and then you can, he has 2 pins, 3 pins, monitor pins, 6-pin trackball connectors.
And like each of these is $1, and it comes with the pins. It comes with the pins with it too.
Right. And it's like, I'm already on page 2. Looks like 2 full pages of that.
So spend like $40.
And there you go. Make your own kit. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
Mike's Arcade, and get the extraction tools if you don't have them. But they do have like 6-pin connector sets. They have 15 pins, 12 pins. Get a combination of all of them.
15 pins are more for control panel stuff, like we talked about. 12 pins more for control panel, coin door stuff. So
yeah, so it depends on what kind of work you're doing. They do carry a lot of that.
Yeah. So before we go into more news, Tim, it looks like we do have a question over in the live chat from Manny's Arcade. He says, I got a monitor that has a beautiful picture, but right in the center of the screen, it's dark and shows a brown spot when the screen goes white. Does it just need a degaussing? So this is probably more than degaussing, right, Tim?
Probably. You're saying it's there when the screen goes right, so you don't see it all the time?
It's probably there, though. Probably a tube rejuvenation is probably what you need to go
sounds
with.
like you have more of a tube problem.
Yes, agreed.
What game is it?
He does not say. So,
we're talking about a classic game? Tell me what game you got here.
But it's possible, Tim, that something burned. Like there were, like, let's say the monitor went bad and there was a spot right in the middle that was like a horizontal let's say you had a horizontal and a vertical deflection issue.
Right, and
they
they just
down to
left it on there.
left it on, then it would have burned into that phosphor. And so if that's the case, a tube rejuvenation may help, but it's kind of a long shot.
You might have to get a different tube.
You may have to get a different tube. The fact that you're getting it right in the center, probably a tube issue. And so tube rejuvenation would be the way to go. But if you can't get it out with that, more than likely, like Tim mentioned, new tube. Yeah. So, but I mean, all it takes is, that's basically screen burn, Tim, is what it is. And so, all it takes is, like I said, we had a monitor chassis issue where the vertical and horizontal deflection just flattened to where we just have a dot in the center, and then somebody decided to, or maybe it's in an arcade, they didn't discover the issue for a while, and the monitor just sat there with that on the screen. You know,
Maybe
and so, and then what ended up happening is, of course, they left it there, and it burned into the CRT, and that's what you have. So, Marvel vs. Capcom, Tim, and an Astro Candy cabinet.
Okay.
So it's a newer stock game.
Yeah.
So, but more than likely, yeah, that's probably what happened.
Still a tube TV.
Yeah, exactly. So try a tube rejuvenator. B&K is what we recommend, right, Tim? So if you want to get one. Or if you know a CRT repair technician in your area, electronics repair technician in your area, they usually keep them, Tim. If you don't want to buy one for yourself. If you only have one arcade game, I was about to say, if you only have one arcade game, don't buy a tube rejuvenation for one game. But what you can do is contact some electronic repair guys in your area, especially ones who have been around a while, and say, hey, I've got this monitor tube. Do you guys have tube rejuvenators? And maybe you can find somebody who's been around since the VCR days that'll hook you up.
Maybe so.
Or find another arcade repair technician in your area. If there's an arcade in your area that has more than about 20 games, they may probably have a tube rejuvenator.
Right. So, if they have classic games.
Exactly. So if they have classic games, they probably have one. So find an arcade in your area, talk to the technician, see if they have a tube rejuvenator that they can hook you up with, or find an old style TV repair guy that'll do it for you as well. He says, has bright, beautiful picture, all the colors, but in the center has the color shade to it. Yeah, it's got to be a tube issue.
Sounds like it.
So yeah, so with that in mind, just try tube rejuvenation. If that doesn't work, if you want to get rid of it, you may have to get rid of the whole tube. Now, Tim, there's something we do in order to kind of fake that, and that's smoked plexi.
Yes.
So you can get a dark piece of plexi. And you'll see this a lot on Pac-Man games because the maze on Pac-Man games a lot of times would burn into the CRT. And so what they would do is they put a dark piece of plexiglass over it that would it would darken the whole screen, but it would cover up any of the screen burn that's there. And so you have this little dot of screen burn. If you go with a dark piece of plexi over that, then it kind of hides that screen burn. You do need to turn the brightness up on your monitor, but it will kind of get rid of that screen burn a little bit.
Yeah, and that's one way. Kind of like looking at something with sunglasses on.
Exactly.
You just don't
You can get that smoked plexi. You used to be able to get it even at hardware stores, right? You probably still can because people use it for windows that they want to, they want to darken and things like that. And so if you go to Lowe's, Home Depot, or a hardware store near you and ask if they have smoked plexi, a lot of times what it's called.
A glass place probably can get it.
Glass place will get it as well. So you can get a piece of smoked plexi and use that as your bezel or put it over the monitor, and that would kind of hide the screen burn. Obviously, it doesn't get rid of it, but it does help tremendously.
Mask it some.
Yes, it can mask it, so that may be another option for Let's see what we got here. Thank you for the advice, fellas. I really appreciate it. So, let's see. Here's another question, Tim. It's let's see. Schwignut. I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry. My Street Fighter 2 CPS 2 screen went pixelated and green. Never looked into the problem, but could it be a power supply that needs to be replaced? Pixelated and green. So maybe a power supply.
Probably a board issue.
Probably a board issue. So on CPS 2, there's an A board and a B board. You need to make sure that the connection between those two is being made properly. So undo the clips on the side, separate the two boards, and then pop them back together real good. Pressing down on those connectors, make sure you line up all the pins. When you separate them, make sure that all the pins are straight, okay, on the A board.
Right.
I can't remember. Whichever one has the actual pins on it, and does not have the connector part, make sure that all those pins are good. Now, anytime we get like a solid green screen with CPS 2 or something like that, I think suicide. Mm-hmm. And so it's possible that you have a CPS 2 suicide issue as well. And so you may need to get decrypted ROMs on there, or you may need to get the undammed and finicky, Tim, which is I think those are still available. I'm not for sure. If not, you can get something like it. But something that will basically unlock those encrypted ROMs and allow you to play it without the encryption. So that may be the case with what you got. He says the CPS2 Darksoft modded with all the games. Okay, so he was working for years. So if Darksoft mod is different, then that means you don't have to worry about the suicide issue. But with the Darksoft mod, again, connectors can play a big role in that. And so make sure that all of your connections are good between your boards, because, yeah, that's a big thing with the Darksoft mod, is just making sure that all the connectors are connected properly. So... But yeah, suicide battery, you shouldn't have, with the Darksoft mod, you shouldn't have to worry about suicide battery, if I remember correctly, Tim. The Darksoft mod basically sits on top of the board and allows you to play multiple games in a lot of cases. And I believe it already has the decrypted versions of the ROMs on there. So you shouldn't need, the suicide battery shouldn't be an issue with the Darksoft mod. So, but the connectors can definitely be an issue. So make sure that all the mods are connected properly and that all the connections are being made.
Yeah, I'd like to know if you had another board you could swap and make sure that
right. If you have another CPS2 board, you may take the Darksoft mod off and just slap a standard CPS2 B board on there, whatever it is. I always forget the difference in the A and the B. A board on there and just make sure. But for the most part, connectors play a big role in that. So again, check all your connections. Maze Arcade also have an original Die Hard arcade that freezes about 5 minutes into turning it on. Intro starts and then freezes. So Die Hard Arcade is, I think it's an STV, which is Saturn-based STV system. And so it's got a cartridge, Tim. Okay. And so anytime we get freezing in the first 5 minutes, Tim will say...
All right, it's power.
Power supply.
Power supply.
So check your power supply first. Okay, power supply first, voltages first. After you do that, with the board off, unplug the cartridge. Make sure the cartridge is all clean. Maybe blow it out with some canned air and plug it back in. Okay, and make sure that it's good. The same problems we have with Neo Geo systems are the same problems we have with STV. So make sure that you clean, that cartridge is clean on the inside. Take the cartridge off the board, clean it out real good, put it back on the board. Make sure that the connection between the board and the cartridge is really good. You may blow out the cartridge slot as well, just to make sure. But the freezing up, Tim, could be bad cartridge connection, could be power supply. Those would be the things to check first. So STV, like I said, Saturn-based system. So kind of like a Sega Saturn on a
tweak your power supply up just a little bit.
It is a little bit. Sega boards as a whole tend to be a little bit more power hungry. Right, so turn it up a little bit more, maybe past 5.0 to 5.05, 5.1 or so, to see if that helps as well. So let's see. Let's see. Schwignut said he put a CPS3 in it and it didn't work to the cabinet. So that's kind of making us lean maybe more towards a power supply issue then.
Maybe so.
Maybe it's something more at the cabinet. Could be wiring in the cabinet as well, though. But definitely check your power supply and make sure that's putting out that 5 volts on the 5 volts line, 12 volts on 12 volts line. CPS games are picky about power for sure. So make sure that those are dialed in properly. And again, like Tim mentioned earlier, you may even want to turn it up a little bit past the 5.0 on 5.05 or something like that, just to get a little bit more. So during Punch Dave, I had a similar problem with and 2 small pins were bent that go between the A and the B boards on my CPS2 game. Once I straightened them, all was good. Yes, check every pin on those CPS games. Make sure that every one is straight and that they're connecting to the connectors properly. All it takes is one of those to get bent, and you're SOL. So there you go. Manny's Arcade says it's one of my more popular games, so definitely want to get it running. So there you go, Tim. Die Hard Arcade. Die Hard Arcade is fun.
Yeah.
Like, I love that game. I played probably more of the sequel because it was on the Dreamcast, and I can't remember. Dynamite Cop, which was the sequel on the Dreamcast version. But Die Hard Arcade is fun, Tim. It's a 3D beat 'em up.
Okay.
So it's really fun. I love that game. So STV system, like I said, and just want to make sure that that cartridge is making a good connection. And again, power supply for sure on that. Okay, Tim, I think we're caught up on the live chat. Okay. Love the questions. Keep them coming. If you guys have any more, we'll answer them as we go. But now that we're caught up, let's go ahead and continue on with our news, Tim. And this next one is interesting because it's an arcade game you probably never heard of.
Okay.
Okay. And the name of the arcade game is Cooper's 9, Tim.
Yeah,
and so the title of this is a ridiculously rare Konami Lightgun game has just been saved from the brink of extinction. This is from Time Extension website, Tim. Got a link here. Konami's extremely rare Lightgun arcade game Cooper's 9, developed by GameWax in London, was on the verge of being lost until archivists across continents rescued it from obscurity. Now preserved for posterity, this previously nearly forgotten title will soon be available to play in Technoperiod, Tim. I think they said there were only 9 cabinets ever released of this.
Wow.
So, I mean, this is rare.
Yeah.
And probably something you've never seen before.
I have not even heard of it.
So, so just think about that. Tim, there's a lot of arcade games that are like this that may have made it almost to the end of production, but didn't go fully into production.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why go that far and not produce it.
Yeah, you think about Mystic Marathon, remember?
Yeah.
I mean, and stuff like that. I mean, some of these games that get almost nearly to being released and then just don't get released, Tim. And so it's always interesting to see these games, and I'm so glad that they were able to preserve this because that means that we'll actually get to play it, and that means all the work by all those developers is not lost forever.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see once Technoperiod comes out, and like I think they may already support it in the pay-for version, but they haven't got it in the free version yet. And so it'll be interesting to see. May give it a whirl myself and see what it is. I think there are some videos already out there, Tim, that you can watch if you want to see a playthrough. But Cooper's 9, Tim, something ridiculously rare that you probably haven't seen before. And Tim, we've seen a lot of arcade games.
Yeah,
so
never heard of it.
there you go. Next little news nugget here, Tim. Street Fighter 2's developers wanted to make the greatest game ever. So this came with a from an interview with Yoshiki Okamoto, Tim, which was one of the developers of the original Street Fighter 2. Okay, worked for Capcom back then. And he explained that the goal in making Street Fighter 2 was to overcome past shortcomings and build the greatest game ever. A vision that ultimately reshaped gaming culture and innovation in the fighting game genre. Street Fighter 2 helped establish the foundations for character-based combo-focused competition, cementing its legacy as the game that put fighting games on the map. Tim, where would we be without Street Fighter 2? The arcade would have died in 1992 if it wasn't for Street Fighter 2. That brought everything back. And so you just have to applaud the efforts of these developers, Tim, to go the extra mile to make this game so great. Tim, Street Fighter 2, it was what got me interested in arcades. I mean, I'd been to arcades my entire life up to that point, but I don't feel like it was till Street Fighter 2 came out that I was actually hanging out at the arcade. And I know that Street Fighter 2 is after your time, and you were more of the
kind of brought
80s.
me back into it, though.
Yeah, but Tim, I remember when we go to arcade auctions, and you just see rows and rows of Street Fighter 2s. Like every cabinet you can think of had been converted to Street Fighter 2. That's how popular the game was, and it just goes to show you how much these developers put into this game to make it such a success.
I bet you don't see it very often now.
Yeah, Manny's Arcade says they absolutely nailed it. Street Fighter 2 is amazing. That is correct. Street Fighter is amazing. So it's a great game even now, Tim. Still holds up to me, and you can still have fun, Tim. Although I feel like when people come over, they play more Mortal Kombat. I don't know if that's just because, you know, of... I don't know. That's a good question. But to me, Street Fighter 2 will always have a special place in my heart. Now, Tim, mascots, right? We have the mascot. We have the mascot theme tonight. And so here we are. Chuck E. Cheese caught in credit card fraud trap, Tim. And this is from TMZ. Okay. On July 23rd, 2025, 41-year-old Jermel Jones was arrested mid-shift during a children's birthday party for alleged credit card fraud at a Chuck E. Cheese in Tallahassee, Florida, while he was working as the mouse mascot. Witnesses saw him handcuffed while still in full costume. Jones later posted a $1,000 bond. Chuck E. Cheese has confirmed the incident and is referring legal inquiries to the local authorities. Tim, and here's a picture with the gentleman with his Chuck E. Cheese mascot outfit on, minus the head, which is on top of the police car. And so there we go, Tim. So
Pretty traumatic birthday party for your kid, right?
For sure. Now, you worked at Chuck E. Cheese for a long time. Have you ever heard or seen of anything like this?
I've never seen Chucky going to jail.
Okay, because that's kind of what the whole thing was,
Yeah.
right? I think what Dave & Buster's post, that's called being Dave and Busted, right?
Right.
But I tell you what, Chuck E. Cheese has had some bad press as of late. Now, not only... Something else we can talk about real quick, Tim, that I didn't put on here because it really wasn't popular, but it's something we need to think about, is that Chuck E. Cheese is struggling financially. They're having to restructure debt.
Yep.
And that's not good.
No,
okay, for those of you guys who know anything about finance, when you go into restructuring debt, that basically means that we're on the verge of probably, maybe, possibly having to go into bankruptcy. Okay, if we can't get that debt restructured properly. And so it kind of begs the question here, Tim. How's Chuck E. doing? How do you feel about him right now? Would you buy stock in Chuck E. Cheese?
No, they're not publicly traded still, right?
No, they are not. But I mean,
think
if
that
it was,
may save them
right
to do that. That may be a lifeline that they should throw out.
Now they had a ton of debt left over from the pandemic stuff. Okay, and I feel like they keep rolling that debt over. And I think at some point they're hoping to turn a corner as far as profitability is concerned. But the problem is that they really haven't been able to take care of that debt. It's kind of like if you rack up $50,000 on a credit card and you're making, let's say it costs $5,000 for you to continue to operate, but you're only making $5,000.
Right.
You're never paying off the $50,000 on the credit card.
And that's kind of your light bill.
Right, exactly. You're making your bills, but you're never going to pay off the debt that you owe. And that debt is only getting more expensive as it grows because nobody lends money for free. And so... So Chuck E. Cheese is not only having mascot trouble, they're having financial trouble too.
Yeah, I wouldn't loan them money.
So, I mean, any thoughts about any of that though? I mean, here's the thing. If Chuck E. Cheese goes under, my kids are going to be sad. I'm going to be sad. Do you think that that's a real possibility?
I think it's definitely a possibility. I do think that it has enough ran air condition and stuff that maybe somebody could rescue them, but nobody's volunteered to do it yet.
I mean, do you think they're going to end up in the trap that like Toys R Us ended up in with leveraged debt?
It sure seems that way unless something dramatically improves, and I don't see that. I don't know if it can be. It's such a big debt.
Any guesses on how much longer you think they can continue to operate before they'll have issues?
Maybe 5 years at the most.
Okay.
I guess.
No, that's a guess.
It's a guess.
Right.
But not a financial whiz, but anybody can read the writing on the wall.
Right, exactly. So this is really disappointing, Tim, because I like Chuck E. Cheese. I will say this, though. I feel like their prices have gone up. Of course, everybody's prices have gone up.
Sure,
I can't say that. But I do feel like it's gotten more expensive. Now, Tim, they've been trying to change over. The one here is put trampolines and what they call it, the Adventure Center or whatever it is, the Adventure Center in and stuff like this. They're trying to diversify beyond just the coin-operated games and stuff. But I don't know. My kids still like to go to Chuck E. Cheese, even though they're a little bit older now. But they would rather go to Grand Slam in a lot of cases. I think the family entertainment centers have really hurt them. And I don't know if there's any coming back from that. So, because you see Dave & Buster's building out main events and other things pretty quickly. Yeah. And most adults would rather go to one of those, and kids don't care because the games are the same. I mean, it is what it is. Joe says maybe Nolan will buy him out of receivership and fix it. Oh, maybe it's possible.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but who knows? Tim, maybe we should be getting our funds together, and if it gets cheap enough, you and me could buy it.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd want it.
So here's we should say that Chuck's Arcade is a good concept, but it's a little too late.
Yeah,
they should have. We were talking about this
10 years ago.
Yeah, we were talking about this 10 years ago. We were talking about, hey, they need to go in this direction. They need to go more towards classic games, more towards an adult place.
I don't know why you can't have them both in one area, one place.
Exactly, because right now it's kind of separate.
Room.
Right, it's kind of separate business models. Chuck's Arcade is kind of like a mall arcade with some alcohol and some other things.
Why they don't show ball games on a Sunday is beyond me.
Right, exactly.
This is dumb.
Yeah, just put a TV up.
Just to get
you have
the
to pay
dads
for
in there.
You have to pay though. There are rights issues with that. But
you're
going to get more business.
Yeah,
you're going to get more business.
I ain't taking my kids on ball game day.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I think you're right, Tim. There's a lot of things that can be done to change it. I think the addition of trampolines is good because they're trying to get those people who may go to like an urban air, Tim, which is like one of the trampoline parks that we have like around in this area. It's kind of, I think it's nationwide for the most part. But they're trying to get people who may go to trampoline parks as well and have games and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if it's enough to save them. And the taxidermy of the animatronics, I still feel like they could have at least put like one little motor in there.
Yeah,
with,
something.
hand going like this, or like they could have easily put 2 little motors with Pasquale doing the little drumming or something like that. But whatever. So, but it's kind of sad. Hopefully, Chuck E. Cheese will figure out a way to pay off all this debt and be profitable again. That's what we hope for sure. And Tim, we have our last story. And Tim, this is, I think, a little bit of a frustration that we can all relate to, Tim. 40 years later, I finally beat the arcade game that financially destroyed me as a child. Now, Tim, you see the picture,
right.
But there's a lot of people who are listening to this in the audio and may not know, may not know what game he's talking about. Now, he's talking about Dragon's Lair.
Right.
Is there a game that financially destroyed you as a child, Tim, that wasn't Dragon's Lair?
I don't know. I guess I just always worked and balanced my money, play, and work. I can't think of anything that just...
Mortal Kombat 2 took a lot of my money. Street Fighter 2 took a lot of my money.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that. But I don't know if they financially destroyed me.
No,
now, my parents would give me like $5, and it's like, okay, this is what you play with kind of thing. When you're done, right? But after decades of frustration, Christopher Livingston, who's the author of the article, Tim, reports that he finally beat Dragon's Lair. Okay, the quarter-eating arcade game that wrecked his childhood finances. He was able to accomplish this by playing the PC Steam version, Tim, of course, so that way he didn't have to put all the coins in it. Despite the hollow satisfaction of victory, he credits Don Bluth's animation, but remains unimpressed with the gameplay. Still, he hopes to try his skills out on the arcade version at some point in the future. Now, Tim, the thing about Dragon's Lair, as we all know, is it's based on rote memory.
Right.
It's really just about memorizing what the directions are and making sure that you press them at the right time. And so, yeah, the gameplay is not great. And it was never great. It was always about how the game looked, right? The game looks beautiful. And so... that's why it financially destroyed people, though, is because it was expensive, right? It was like the most expensive game in the arcade. And then the only way you got good at it was to play it like a million times.
Right,
because you had to get all the patterns.
To know, yeah.
And so I totally get this, but you should... The article is funny a little bit, and it does talk about how he kind of went through this process and how he beat it and everything. So if you have a chance, we'd highly recommend you check it out. But, Tim... I remember seeing Dragon's Lair when I was in the arcades. Dragon's Lair 2 was probably more popular. Dragon's Lair 2 Time Warp, which my local arcade that I went to had one, and it just never got a whole lot of play. Before that was there, it was a Pit Fighter. They had Pit Fighter in there. Remember Pit Fighter? And it was an okay game too. My local arcade operators, they swapped out games pretty often, but they pretty much always had like an Afterburner. They always had a Miss Pac-Man. They always had a Spy Hunter, Tim. They always had, like, once Mortal Kombat got popular, they had a Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2. They always had Street Fighter 2. I remember the games like that. And so, I just remember, I can vividly see, like, all the games in that arcade, because when I was a kid. They had a Michael Jackson Moonwalker 10, which is one of my favorites. They had Turtles in Time and X-Men. Some really great games. So, but anyway. Joe says it's like a choose-your-own-adventure book. It really is. That's what it is. Alan says that is my favorite game. A lot of people really love Dragon's Lair. And again, the animation can't be beat. It's beautiful. So, but Tim, I think that's about it for the news and discussion. We're about ready to wrap it up. But it looks like Manny's Arcade has one more for us before we do.
Okay.
I have a Neo Geo that has a working monitor, but half of the right side has a horizontal wave, and the left side looks good. Any tips? Let's make sure that thing is grounded properly.
Yeah.
The wave that you get a lot of times in that is from a grounding issue. Now, sometimes that'll be caused by, on the input pins, there's a ground wire. Make sure that the ground wire is making a good connection. So that pin sometimes will get loose. Solder the pin there and make sure that the wire is connected there properly. So, you have red, green, blue, ground, and sync, typically. Those are your monitor input wires. Make sure that the ground one is connected. Make sure that the pin is connected to the board properly as well. Depending on the model, that hula effect, Tim, can sometimes be caused by monitor voltage issues as well. So if you can figure out what kind of monitor, what the monitor chassis is in that, the make and model, we can help you out with troubleshooting a little bit further.
Also, make sure that your speaker is shielded or that it's not causing some interference or you're getting interference from something around it.
Yes. Degaussing may help with that, just depending on the type of wave that you're getting. So you can get a degaussing coil. I have a video on using a degaussing coil that you can look at and check out. And so you can try degauss it as well to see if that helps it. But it may actually be something in the high voltage section that you need to take a look at. And so if it is, send pictures of your monitor chassis, the board that hooks to your CRT, send them over to us, questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and we can give you a little bit better troubleshooting once we know the make and model there. So, one last chime in here. Alan says, Dragon's Lair was the first arcade game I bought. Still works, Tim. So I got Dragon Slayer's a great game. So the hardest part about keeping any of those games working, as Ellen knows, is the Laserdisc player. So you can always go with what's Daphne, or not Daphne? That's the emulator. You can always go with the little SD card board, Dexter. You can go with the Dexter board that basically takes the entire Laserdisc player and puts it on a seat. The SD card has the images on it, and then the Dexter board emulates the Laserdisc interface. So you can always do something like that if you want to as well. So. Okay, Tim, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. We want to remind you guys that we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're always looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure you put a plug in for your channel so people will know where to find you, and we look forward to seeing your submissions. So, Tim, this is just a way to help people who may be on the verge of monetization on YouTube get monetized. That's what we want you guys to do. So if you've got a small channel that maybe has some arcade videos on it, and it's like, hey, I'd like to have a couple more viewers, a couple more subscribers, send just one of your videos our way so we'll take a look at it. And if we like it, we'll play it like before one of our live shows and hopefully shoot some of our viewers and subscribers over your way so you can get monetized. So again, if you'd like to submit one, questions@arcaderepairtips.com to do that. Now, Tim, let's talk about how people can contact us. We've got our general email address at questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Now, if you put live show in the subject, we will save it for the live show. Otherwise, we'll get around to answering it whenever we get around to it. So that could be during the live show. That could be sometime during the month, just depending. But it's by far probably the best way to get a hold of us is by sending us an email at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. We also have our YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Now, obviously, our live chat and all these wonderful people who are watching us, they all know that, Tim. But we do have people who are listening on the audio podcast. And if that's you, then you want to make sure that you go to youtube.arcaderepairtips.com and look up this episode 102, and watch the YouTube video for it. And we do cover comments from the last live show on the next episode. So if anybody leaves a comment here, we will cover it on episode 103. Another reminder that if you're listening to this on the audio podcast feed, that we do not put the after show on the audio podcast feed. If you want to see that, you will have to go to the YouTube video for this episode to watch it. And then, Tim, we have our audio podcast feed that has our live shows, interviews, question and answer podcast, etc. And you can go to iTunes at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com or Spotify at spotify.arcaderepairtips.com or audible.arcaderepairtips.com, and you can subscribe to our audio podcast feed. That's a great way to listen to the podcast if you don't want to actually watch it, and we'd love for you to do that. And of course, we'd also love for you to leave a review on any of those pages. And Tim, you can pretty much find our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. If you will just do a search for Arcade Repair, more than likely you will find it. So again, but we do have an iTunes page at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com, spotify.arcaderepairtips.com for you Spotify listeners, and audible.arcaderepairtips.com for Audible subscribers. And Tim, I do want to remind you to leave reviews again, because our iTunes page, Tim, we are at 49 reviews. We've been at 49 reviews forever. I need somebody to give us a great review on iTunes to push us over at least to 50. Right, exactly. So somebody out there has an iPhone, Tim, who has not subscribed to our audio podcast, who should and needs to give us a very 5-star positive review just so we can hit that 50 mark. You know what I'm saying? Let's get over that mark.
It's going to be number 50.
Who's going to be number 50?
Next month to you.
That's right, exactly. We usually do read the reviews on the show, so if you do leave a review on the iTunes page and we get us to 50, we will read it like Tim mentioned. And then, Tim, we have our social media pages. We have our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. We also have our Twitter/X feed at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. Yeah, Tim, I haven't changed it to X yet. But it is still our X feed technically. So, and we do post stories there every single day. I try to put something out there, Tim, every single day. So if you want to keep up with arcade-related news, there's no better place to go. That's right. And you don't have to subscribe on both. You can subscribe on Facebook or on Twitter. The stuff gets cross-posted. We do have some problems with the cross-posting over to X sometimes from the Facebook page, and I think that's just because I have to go in like every month and tell it basically to reconnect in order to keep the connection going. And so there may be times where I don't do that, and so I'm sorry about that, but we do try to cross-post everything between the two pages. So you subscribe at Facebook or X, one or the other, same content, but every single day you're going to get great arcade repair news delivered right to you via your social media. So again, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com or twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. Follow, subscribe at either one of those. We look forward to interacting with you. Leave comments too. I love reading y'all's comments, especially Joe. Joe's here tonight. Joe, your comments are always good. So always enjoy reading your comments there. So, okay, so I'm going to catch up on the live chat before we wrap things up here. We got Manny says, thanks guys. You have been so helpful. Great show. I will definitely send you some pictures of it. So there you go. The chassis, that's for sure. And then Alan says, thanks for my Stranger Things cabinet for winning the Pac-Man trivia last time. Yes, we sent you a mini Stranger Things cabinet that plays Pac-Man along with some other things as well for winning the trivia last month, Tim. So congratulations to you for doing that. And we'll get back to the trivia, Tim. I just wanted to go back to more of a classic episode this time. It's like, hey, let's do it old school. Right. Old school. So we got, building up to the 100 mark, we were changing things up, and we'll definitely do trivia again at some point. And we'll definitely go do some different intro songs and things like that. But, just going classic tonight. No problem with that. So we do have an after show that immediately happens after this show. So the after show, usually there's about 5 minutes in between when this stops and the after show starts. And the after show is basically me and Tim catching up as friends on whatever topics we want to cover. Tim, I think some of the topics on our thing today are vacations. So we'll talk about more than just arcade games and what we did on our vacations last month, what our August plans are. Tim, of course, back to school, kind of getting in full swing, so we may talk a little bit about that. Some sports stuff, Tim. We're big Texas Ranger fans, so we'll probably be getting into that. And then NFL preseason, Tim. We'll probably talk about some NFL stuff, including Micah Parsons wanting a trade, if you haven't heard about that one. Yeah, so we can talk about that. And then, Tim, we can talk about some movies and TV shows that we're watching. Do you have anything you want to tease for the after show?
I just finished up some series, so I'm searching for a new show. So maybe if you got some ideas, you always have some good things, or a couple things I've been watching.
So the big one I want to talk about is the second season of Shiny Happy People, which is all about Teen Mania Ministries. Great, we can talk about that. So for those of you guys who don't know, little teaser, Teen Mania, the headquarters was located literally about 20 minutes away from where we are right now.
Yeah.
And, 40 minutes away from where we are.
At the most, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think in the documentary they said in the middle of nowhere, Tim. So yes, we kind of was. That's right. Arcade Repair Tips headquarters is in the middle of nowhere. So, but we will be talking about that, Tim, and I'll talk about. I did not like the ending, and I'll tell you why. Yeah. So if you want to know,
same.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you the way they should have gone too.
Yeah,
because I have an idea about that. So anyway, so we'll talk about that. I've been watching Stick on Apple TV with Owen Wilson, which is a golf show, very much in the same vein as Ted Lasso, Tim.
Okay.
Sherlock and Daughter, me and my wife just finished up. That was very good. It's on HBO Max. We'll talk about that. WWE Unreal on Netflix, Tim, which is the documentary behind the scenes of WWE.
That's already interesting.
Watch that. Very interesting. And Tim, I watched 2 movies. I watched Mufasa, The Lion King on Disney Plus because I had not seen it yet. And then we went to the movie theater, took the kids to see The Bad Guys 2.
You haven't seen Happy Gilmore 2 yet?
I have not.
Oh, I have seen that.
Okay, well, you can talk about that. No spoilers, please.
No spoilers.
We'll get into that. So if you want to stay tuned for the after show, then just wait about 5 minutes. Me and Tim are going to go use the bathroom and kind of get some drinks and things like that. And then we'll be right back here on this stream to do after show stuff. But if you're finished up here, if all you want to talk about is arcade stuff and you're done for the night, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. Big shout out to the live chat, including Jumpin' General, who says, hey guys, Tim. So he's here as well. Good to see you as always. But thank you guys for chiming in and for being here tonight. Round of applause for you guys. We love having you all here.
Thank you.
We do want to remind you that you can also support us by hitting the little super chat button. That's the little $ bill looking thing, and donating some money if you feel so inclined. Or you can go to arcaderepairtips.com/donate if you'd like to do that. Again, there's no donations required, but we appreciate anything you guys can give, and it always helps us out. Tim, anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, thank y'all for being here. We appreciate your time. Stick around for the after show. If you got any more arcade questions, of course, we'll take them there too.
For sure. So thank you guys again for joining us tonight. We loved having you here. Great show. And remember here, Tim, at Arcade Repair Tips, when you fix the game,
you play the game.
Take care, everybody. We'll either see you here in about 5 minutes for the after show, or we'll see you next month for the September 2025 live show. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
And we're back with the after show for episode 102. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the regular arcade repair tip show. So this part of the show is basically just me and Tim catching up.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the after show is just our fun part where we can kind of catch up, do some things, and we'll still answer arcade questions here, but we like to just talk about, we like to catch up because I don't always get to see Tim and we don't spend time on the phone very often just because we're busy. Yeah. So, Tim, tell me about your vacation. Where'd you go?
We went to Santa Fe.
Okay.
We kind of stepped outside of our box and we usually go to the beach or something, and so we decided, I drove through there working a few months ago. You might remember I was working in Albuquerque. Now I really like the Santa Fe area, and there was a couple things that I really wanted to do there, and we stayed at an all-inclusive Hilton Resort and Casino there called Buffalo Thunder. Nice. Which is about 20-something miles south. It's on an Indian reservation, so there's nothing else around there.
Right.
It was real secluded. Couple had outdoor pool and hot tub, an indoor pool and hot tub. Plenty to do there. There's a casino. I think there's 3 or 4 restaurants, a big convenience store. There's a Starbucks in it. You could have stayed most of the time there, but we enjoyed going into Santa Fe for a couple times. Just general sightseeing. first day I looked at my phone, it was 90 degrees, and I thought, well, that sounds about like home. And then I looked, and it said 10% humidity. And so when I walked out, that felt like 75 degrees in Texas.
Right.
It was such a... And my wife kind of laughed about it. She goes, why do we live in Texas again? And I'm like, because we have two kids, a grandbaby, and your parents live there. And she's like, okay. So we're stuck in Texas.
No income tax.
Right. And, yeah. And so we had a good time. It was just a good, relaxing kind of getaway. We went to a salt cave for the first time.
Oh, nice.
I didn't even know we had one in Tyler.
I didn't know that either.
And it's kind of a way you go. They have Himalayan salt. You breathe it. Really helped my allergies and stuff. I feel like I need to go again soon. But just a good trip overall. But as soon as we got back, we only had a couple days here. We only went for 4 days. Then we went and helped my son move and his first home. And so we were busy all weekend. So had 10 days off, maybe rested one of those days. So it was nice to get away, but I was also kind of glad to get back to work and get back in the swing of things. And y'all went to Colorado, as you mentioned.
We did,
earlier.
and I also got the 10 days off because I took off, obviously, Independence Day, and then I had the week off after that. So went to Colorado Springs, mentioned that already, but we did some sightseeing. We went to Garden of the Gods, Tim, which is like this amazing rock formation. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. So we went to... we did not go to Pikes Peak, but we were real close to there, and you could see Pikes Peak from Garden of the Gods, which is really neat. We ate at a restaurant that had an airplane built into it.
Okay.
Which is very interesting. I should have put those pictures up here. I didn't even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of just cool stuff. Went to Dave & Buster's while I was there. Didn't really take pictures of a whole lot of the games there. Pretty much the same stuff you see everywhere. There wasn't anything unique. Let's see. What else? That
was kind of like the arcade and the casino. It was just 10, 15 games, and they were all like Halo. It was just some modern stuff.
Yeah, the Penny Arcade in Manitou Springs was way cooler.
Way cooler.
Yeah, way cooler. So, because it actually had like classic stuff. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with the generic Betson package that everybody gets, right? It's basically what it is, right? So, but yeah, I mean, it was good. I didn't get much rest and relaxing either. I felt like really we were go. I felt like, and I prefer to rest on vacation personally, but whenever you go somewhere new, it's kind of and here's the thing. I went to Colorado in October of last year for work, and my wife's supposed to come with me, but we had a whole bunch of issues kind of come up and we weren't able to go. But I got to go to Breckenridge because we have our division there. So that was the first time I've ever been to Colorado. So this was actually a second trip for me, and it wasn't bad. But my wife got some kind of altitude sickness. Even though we've been to like Canada, she had some there. The temperatures were about 10 degrees cooler than what it was here. So in the mornings and in the afternoons, but the humidity was a lot lower. But the thing I like about humidity, Tim, is that up there I was having to put lotion on and chapstick because the humidity is so low, there's no moisture. Right? And so like here, you never have to worry about that unless it's cold outside. So, I mean, it was very interesting though. But Joe says, how much did Tim donate at the casino?
I will tell you an interesting story about that. So here was the plan. This is my goal when I go into a casino. I go in with a certain amount of cash.
Of course.
And I expect to lose it.
Absolutely.
And I feel like
it's entertainment.
If I can play long enough and just entertainment wise. So I gave $100 cash to my wife and I gave $100 to me. Of course it was in 20s, right?
Yeah. We
both sat down and within about 3 minutes had went through $20.
Oh my goodness. What'd you play?
We were just playing slot machines.
Oh my goodness.
And I'll be honest.
Obviously not the penny slots.
Yeah, we're not. Well, there aren't any real penny slots anymore. They're penny times 75. It tricks you.
Right, exactly.
And it's hard to tell now. This one plays 12 lines. I don't know. I like an old school slot machine. Anyway, so I looked at her and she looked at me and I said, we got $160. We could leave right now and go eat a really nice steak dinner. And she goes, let's go. And so that was our experience. Now, we did kind of walk through there, check out the arcade. A couple times we went down.
You didn't play blackjack
we
or
ate down
or
there.
Anything?
I actually went. It was kind of a small area, and there was quite a few people playing. Didn't really feel like just busting up, in the middle of them. I started to, but I don't know. Something about me just said, man, I didn't want to just spend money. I don't know. I just felt like I was not being very lucky.
Did you say the resort was all inclusive?
Yes.
That included food?
It did. Well, no, it didn't include your food.
Okay.
I'm just saying they had restaurants on site.
Okay, gotcha.
And
because when I think all inclusive, I think everything's included.
Right. No,
like
not like you don't really have a lot of those in the United States. Most everything was there. We could have stayed just at the resort, but the restaurant. So you had a high end one, which I say high end, $40, $50, $75 a plate. Then you had a normal where you could get a ribeye steak dinner for like $20.
Right.
Which was reasonable.
Yeah.
And then breakfast and the Starbucks there and stuff. So we're Hilton's members and stuff. We had like $30 a day credit. So it didn't really, we ate there a lot for breakfast and lunch and then went somewhere else for dinner. A couple local places that we tried. But so that was my casino. It lasted about 5 minutes. I'm not kidding. 5 minutes, I'd gone through 20. If I would have been playing for about 15 minutes on $20, I probably would have spent the rest of it.
Sure.
But I don't know. Maybe I picked the wrong machine. I should have had some old lady show me how to play. Because we honestly don't go very often.
Sure.
And I don't gamble much because I know that I enjoy it. I like to play games. I'm competitive.
Right.
And I know that I would probably end up spending way too much if I would. I'm the type I can play. If I hit $300 or $400, I'm out. Yeah, I'm gone. I'll cash out and go home.
Sure.
But I know a lot of people are like, well, if I hit $300 or $400, maybe I'll hit $3,000 or $4,000. No big lucky wins. I have more luck just playing the lottery or something sometimes. I'm just not a very lucky person like that.
There you go. Just as he's too cheap to gamble. Me too.
I just am. Well, when I knew that we were
not the stock market.
Yeah, well, that's a different type of gamble, maybe. That's an educated guess.
That's true.
Not necessarily a gamble. It's
I don't know. It
educated.
still feels like the house is against you. And by the house, I mean all the rich people.
Well, if I told you a month ago, I read an article and said that they were going to have a pretty controversial American Eagle ad come out.
Yeah,
true. I think I'll buy a few shares.
Right. There you go.
I didn't even know what it was going to be about, but it did okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I doubled a little money there.
There you go. So I mean, stock market and gambling kind of the same, but you bought some American Eagle before the ad hit.
Yeah.
Well, look at you.
I actually heard somewhere this little phrase I read that they were going to come out with a controversial ad, and I thought to myself, what? I didn't know what it was going to be, but I thought whatever it is, it will create a little buzz. They'll probably go up. I'll make a few bucks. That was my thinking.
There you go.
It did all right.
Yeah. So I was watching TKO, which is the joint company that owns UFC and WWE.
I have some.
And they had an announcement, what was it, yesterday, that all of their premium events for WWE are going to be on ESPN, Tim.
Oh.
But the problem was that the deal was not as much as people thought because it didn't include everything that like Peacock gets now. And so the stock actually went down. I almost bought in a little bit. But if you look over the last, I think it was a year or so, like it's gone up $50. Like something like that.
I bought in around $50.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's gone up quite a bit. And so, and they're still saying it's a good buy because here's the thing. You've got rights coming up. More WWE rights are coming up to sell. And then I think UFC rights are coming up pretty soon as well. And so those deals, as you know, Tim, are in the B's, billions. And so like when somebody strikes a deal like that, stock's going to go up. And so I've been watching TKO. I haven't put any triggers yet. But and of course, like the whole freaking market has been up, I feel like. With all the tariff deals haven't really slowed things down. People pretty much know that, deals are going to get struck and things are going to happen. And, it just seems like everything's working now, right now. I mean, the one thing that we heard from Trump was that he wanted interest rates lowered because they want to be able to manage the debt that the America owes, a little bit better. And, when the interest rate is lower, you can manage that debt a little bit better. I don't know what's going to come of that, Tim. I personally don't know if we should lower interest rates. What do you think?
I think we definitely should, just to get housing market to
cool off.
To
actually jumpstart.
Jumpstart a little bit more.
Right.
Right now, we won't even consider it buying another home because our interest rate is so low.
Most people's are, because if you owned a home during the pandemic,
COVID,
you probably refinanced. So.
Yeah, so we're not even going to move. But if it would drop a couple points, we would consider it. But we'll see. One thing did you hear the Apple announcement?
No. What was it about tariffs or?
No, Apple investing $600 billion into a new Kentucky plant that will make all their screens in the United States.
Wow, that's good.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. That's a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And that they're committed to trying everything they can to bring as much parts on an Apple built in the United States.
Well, the problem is you need to be, because with the tariff deals, if you're not actually building the parts in the United States, even if you're assembling it here, you're paying a lot in tariffs.
And we have both been pretty open. We don't know.
Right.
We're like, I'm not going to say tariffs are the greatest thing ever.
Absolutely.
But I will give props if they work, and we may not even see that for years.
That's true.
But at the same time, I don't like foreign dependency. No offense to any foreigners out there. I think we should, everything that we can possibly make should be made here.
I agree.
If possible.
Yeah, I mean, if we consume it here, it
creates
should be made
jobs
here.
and and it saves on shipping and things like that. We'll see.
So yeah, I still don't know exactly how all the tariff stuff's going to work out, Tim. But I can tell you this: that the government ran a surplus for like the first time in 4 years?
Yeah.
Because of the tariff stuff, which I think is interesting. Maybe we can pay down some debt now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Or, there's a lot of talk being proposed about it's our money.
Yeah.
And so there's
a check.
Talks about a check. So
yeah.
I
We've
know
got a lot
much.
of debt. We got a lot of debt. We need to get
I got a lot of
debt.
We got a lot of debt, but if they send me a check, I'm cashing that sucker.
Well, for sure, yes.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying we need to probably.
We really do need to think long term, and hopefully some of the stuff will work.
You can pay some to the debt and some to everybody.
I will say it has turned out a little better so far than I kind of expected.
But who knows what the long term is going to be?
Because I thought everything would just skyrocket for the short term, and I think everybody in here, somebody would say, "Well, my business is really hurt."
Right.
I hope not, but I haven't seen it as much as I thought I would personally.
Well, and I think we've seen that prices really haven't come down very much, and that's because I think of the tariffs. The tariffs have kind of taken the place of like the taxes and things that we would normally, or of actual cost increases. So whereas the cost of goods has probably gone down a little bit, the prices are staying up. I feel like because of the tariff version, because
maybe
of the tariff cost. So I mean, we probably haven't seen,
but we haven't seen a big increase either.
Exactly, it's kind of level.
Yeah, and we'll see. I don't want to be one just saying, "Oh, yeah, it's the greatest thing ever." It could flop and fail, and if it does, then Trump could either be the biggest genius or the biggest fool. I'm not going to say either one because I can somewhat appreciate somebody trying something though.
Yeah.
I don't think we could have kept going down the road we were and just national debt, but of course, the spending bill that increases the debt, not great either. No. But I kind of have that feeling it takes money to make money. Right. So I don't know. Big beautiful bill definitely will help me on income tax time because a lot of my pay, I still am hourly and get overtime.
Yeah. Your daughter though your granddaughter needed to be more in year later?
Yeah.
To get the Invest America account.
Yes. Right.
So the Invest America account, did I talk about this last time? Maybe I did.
Yeah.
The Invest America account basically seeds $1,000 to every kid that's born in the United States as a citizen. They get that invested into the S&P index fund, which usually yields about 10%, as you know, Tim. And you can contribute up to, I think, $1,000 a year in that, maybe more than that, or $5,000 a year or something like that. And then you get to touch it when you're 25. So I think is what it is. And so I think that's going to be really cool to have a whole generation of kids that'll have an investment in America by default. Mm-hmm. So I am interested in that in the BBB. We'll see how that all works out. But
I just, if you're going to talk about tax cuts, talk about lowering the deficit, you can't increase the deficit. I can kind of see in some ways how Elon Musk seems really frustrated.
For sure.
Because he's doing all these cuts and everywhere, but we're spending more over here. I get the rift a little bit. Yeah. I really do. But,
for sure.
But then again, I don't know a lot. I don't know much about it. I just go to work every day and do my job.
That's right.
What can I do?
And as long as I don't have to pay more in taxes, I'm good with that. They did increase the child tax credit, Tim, which helps me too. Mm-hmm. So I'm all about that. And there were some other things that were in there as well. Tim, I do want to mention one thing I guess we didn't talk about last time because that hadn't happened yet, but all of the flooding that happened in Texas, of course, during the July 4th holiday there. Because, we had our live show on the 3rd, right?
Yeah, a lot of people will want to know. That is probably a good 4 hours from us, maybe.
More than that.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Not
race.
really our area. We did get a lot of rain, too. And we do get flash floods like that. And but I'll be honest.
Hill country, well, the thing about the hill country is that it doesn't absorb water very well.
No.
Because it's very rocky. And so, like, when water comes in, and it's very dry. And so when water comes in there in a flash flood state, it doesn't go anywhere. It just basically floods up. And so that's what happened. The drainage systems there just aren't built for that because they never get it. And so that's really what it came down to. And they got so much rain in such a short amount of time that all of the systems that they had to dissipate that water just weren't prepared for it.
And it happened in the late middle of the night.
Yeah, I mean, 4 a.m.
I'll be honest, guys, we get tornado watches, tornado warnings, flood watches, flood warnings all the time.
Exactly.
I very rarely pay attention to any of them because 99% of the time there's nothing to it.
Right.
But I don't think we have a problem with our early warning or anything. I think it was just a rare act that nobody could have predicted or done much better about.
The big problem there was that the cell phone signal is pretty weak in that whole area.
Yeah,
and so
I
people were
believe
saying they need to probably put sirens up, or they need to also need to probably have more like weather radios and things like that at the ready for people so that they know. Because the text messages weren't really working for a lot of people because of where it is located.
But our siren goes off, we ignore it half the time. It's just, I mean, it's pretty common here.
It is.
It's so common.
Alert fatigue.
Alert fatigue.
Yeah.
And I hope, and maybe we need to be a little bit more aware. I mean, we watch the weather. You know, my phone goes off. We hear stuff. You know, I'm watching everything. But very sad. We do. You know, and
just been praying for the families, and we've been there's a lot of our there's people from our church that have been going and helping out with recoveries and things, and so
that's what I'm saying. We're close enough to where I didn't know anybody that was personally killed, but I know people that was like their granddaughter.
I know people who know people.
People who know people. 1 degree of separation here in our area. So we in Texans, we just we kind of. But I thought about the Cajun Navy from Louisiana came over. Us, Oklahoma, Arkansas, we all kind of really work together pretty good. You know, politics and stuff aside, we got a lot of good people that just that care about each other. And so, you know, I saw some of the worst, but then you hear about the guy that was like on his first mission. Yeah. And saves like 50 people?
I think it was 100 and something.
100, yeah,
150,
crazy amount of people. This one guy rescued on never been on a live mission. And so, you know, I tend to not look at every bad story or politicize something. I just tend to say it was a tragedy, but there also was a lot of heroes, a lot of people that risked their life. A lot of people were saved and rescued. So, you know, although it was a tragedy, it could have been worse, and so we're thankful for that. Yeah, that was right after the live show. Yes, it literally happened like that day or night or something.
Well, we did on the 3rd, and it happened on the morning of the 4th, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's something to
and I know people probably, when they saw that, you know, they thought, oh, I wondered. I even have friends on my Facebook, is that near you? And I'm like, well, it's a pretty good way from here.
Yeah. Now, my dad used to go hunting, and his deer lease is there. I mean, you say it's like 4. It was for him. I think it's 8-hour drive or something like that.
I didn't think it was that far,
yeah,
but
I mean, it depends on where you're at. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty far from here, depending on where you're going in the hill country.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's a tragedy, and just lots of prayers for the families who were affected by all of that. Because golly, I mean, lost so many kids and things like that. It's just awful. And but again, it's just something they weren't prepared for. They never get that kind of flooding in a short amount of time, and it's just a tragedy. It's awful. So.
Well, it's happened there before.
Yeah, it has happened before.
It's like we got to figure a way to get a little bit better at it. You know what? So, I'll just Google.
Yeah, I know.
Google Map in here.
Yeah, I was about to say
directions. To Camp Mystic from here, 6 hours, 8 minutes.
So halfway in between what we both said.
Right, they said 4, you said 8.
Yeah, exactly.
342 miles. So a really good ways from us, and that was the center. It affected a bigger area.
If you live in a smaller state, you're probably used to being able to drive across your entire state in 6 hours.
Right.
But here in Texas, you can drive 6 hours and you're still in Texas. So, I mean, we live pretty close to the Louisiana side, so we can get to Louisiana in about a couple hours. But anywhere else, if you drove north, you drove west, or you drove south, you're going to be in Texas for a while.
Right. So, we flew to New Mexico because it was an 11-hour drive.
Oh, yeah. So just to give you an idea. Like El Paso, I mean, I could drive to Alabama before I get to El Paso.
For sure.
So, I mean, just to give you an idea. So, but anyway, guys, yeah, just a tragedy and just a lot of, I have been just praying and thinking about them for a while. Tim, something else I need to mention while we're kind of talking about sad stuff, and I hate to do this. On the show, on the after show in the past, I talked about Ross King and how I really, I booked him to come to our church and he performed, and I met him and I talked to him. I love his music. His wife has been dealing with cancer. He announced today that she passed away. And so I've been praying they had, I think, one kid that they had together and then 2 adopted kids. And, I couldn't imagine losing my wife, because that's basically what happened here. And, they've been together forever.
Well, you might remember I went to Louisiana a few weeks ago, and I was going because we always have family reunion in September, and my cousin was really sick, and they said she won't make it till September more than likely because she's like, I'm not going to take chemo again.
Right.
And she died last week. So, it was true. If we hadn't gone to see her, we probably she wouldn't have made it till the next time when we always see her every year. But
cancer sucks.
It does. And as much money and stuff, if there's not a cure in our lifetime, I hope.
And this is why you need to be going to your doctor every year.
Exactly.
Get your labs checked.
Don't be that hard-headed guy that won't go.
Right. You need your labs so you can catch this stuff ahead of time. You need
yearly labs.
Yeah. Little checkups just to make sure lymph nodes, all that kind of stuff. Just, and don't ignore, if you're having some pain somewhere, don't ignore it. You know what I'm saying? It could be something more.
Right.
Just, take the signs that your body is giving you and do it, and then make sure that you're getting checked up every year to make sure that you're in good shape. So, those are the things that you need to do. But even with all that, cancer can still get you, and it sucks. Yeah. So, just prayers for Ross and his family as they're going through this tough time because, Tim, he sings a lot about hard times in his music, but I don't think he's ever had a hard time like this. And
I don't think so.
This is on a different level. Losing a spouse, I just can't imagine that kind of thing because, like I said, especially when you've been with your spouse forever.
Right.
It's very hard. So prayers going out to his family tonight as well. Just thinking about him, and hopefully him and his kids will be. Now his kids are older. And when I say older, they've all graduated. I think the youngest one just graduated from high school, so they're all high school and up. But
he's not having to raise young kids.
Right, exactly. But it's still
by himself. But
it's still hard to lose a mom.
Sure,
it's hard to lose a wife. So,
yeah.
So prayers for them. Let's get on to something different. Maybe a little bit more upbeat.
Yeah.
The Texas Rangers are doing pretty decently, Tim. We just had a series with the Yankees. We took 2 out of 3 from them.
They've been streaky lately, haven't
they? So
we're
1.5 back in the wild card as of right now.
Okay.
And so we have an opportunity maybe to sneak in on the wild card side, which last time we did that, Tim, we won the World Series. Just saying.
Right.
So Tim, it's always great when your team actually has a chance, like in nearing October. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're not in
we're definitely playing better baseball than we've been playing.
For sure. So we're definitely close to sneaking in there. Really excited about that. NFL preseason has kind of started, Tim. We've seen some preseason games happen, but the big news probably was that Micah Parsons has requested a trade from the Cowboys. How do you feel about that?
There was some kind of update on my phone.
We are Cowboys fans.
I haven't checked it out. Well, who can blame him for asking?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't have the 3 richest players in 10 of the 3 richest, 3 of the top 10 richest players all on your team.
That's right.
It just
doesn't, the salary cap
doesn't work that way very good.
Right.
I remember the day we traded Herschel Walker, and I thought that's the stupidest thing I ever heard of.
Want to have the Super Bowls without him.
And so I would not give him away, but if somebody wants to cough up some first, I saw some trades, and I was like, no, we're not taking a bunch of 4th-round picks over the next 10 years.
Hey, look. The Luka Doncic trade
taught
us everything we need to know about trading.
Right.
Okay?
We're not good at trading. So.
Here in Dallas, yeah, exactly. We're not the best of traders. So
to me, the organization is more important than any one player. Mm-hmm. And if he don't want to be there, but he still, I think that he's a good enough player, though, and he's under contract. Fulfill your contract and then request a trade.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like this, I'm not happy here anymore. I just want more money now. You signed a contract.
That's the thing now, though. I mean, that's what they do now. So, I mean, it is what it is. But,
well, and I'm not saying he's not worth it. I just don't know if he's worth it to us. And there was something that popped up on my phone about that earlier. I don't know if they agreed to something or if he traded. Well, maybe while we've been doing the live show, something popped up.
There you go.
And I cleared it before I read it, but
okay.
Anyway, we'll see.
There you go. I could talk a little bit about WWE stuff, Tim, but I mean, we watched SummerSlam. It was fun. Jelly Roll wrestled. I don't know if you heard about that.
I did not hear about that.
Yes, Jelly Roll was in one of the matches. And he did pretty decently. He lost, but he held his own out there.
Okay.
He was working at the Performance Center for like a month before the match, so he was really serious about it.
Okay.
He gave Logan Paul like a choke slam. It was really impressive. He's a big wrestling fan, so
okay.
But he did really good. And Tim, I like Jelly Roll.
Yeah, I do too.
So I like his music. He seems like a good guy. It seems like he's had a hard life.
He seems sincere.
Yeah, very sincere.
I don't think he's fake.
No, I don't think so either. So
what you see is what you get.
For sure. So, but SummerSlam was fun. Me and the kids enjoyed it. We had a good time. And John Cena turned good guy again.
Okay.
So he's a good guy again.
Time.
He did lose the title, but he's a good guy.
Okay.
So that's all you need to know. Let's talk about TV shows. Now, give me the scoop on Happy Gilmore 2 without spoiling it.
Okay. So,
I've heard a lot of takes. So what's your take?
I've heard people that loved it and people hated it.
Heard both.
I'm kind of in the middle. It was like entertaining. I'm glad I didn't go to the movies and pay for it. It was just on Netflix. But there were definitely some scenes that were funny. Just how they kind of brought it back around, how he started playing golf again. I mean, that's no secret and stuff. And all the old characters that were brought in, even though Chubbs had died, they had Chubbs' son, and
I guess all that in one of the trailers.
and it was kind of funny, and I mean there were definitely some funny scenes and stuff. I liked it. I thought it was entertaining and worth the watch. My wife got bored really fast. She goes, "I thought it was funnier than this."
Oh my goodness!
That was her saying. She fell asleep about halfway through, and I said, "You watch the rest of it tomorrow?" She goes, "You can watch it." See, that's how bored she was with it. She was just like. She goes, I remember the first one being more funny. And I was like, well.
It's hard to do a sequel to like a great movie. I'm just saying.
It is really hard, but but then to me, there was new stuff that was funny because he has kids and they act like him, They get, this won't spoil anything, just get mad and start fighting and punching people, And if you knew the first one, how he kind of had a temper problem, you could see it. And
if you've seen it, let us know in the live chat, by the way.
Yeah,
if you guys have seen it.
Like I said, if I give it a B. I wouldn't. It's not like
it's part of your Netflix subscription.
Yeah,
so
I'm not telling you to stop everything you're doing and watch it tonight.
Right.
But I don't think. But I'll say this: have you ever watched Happy Gilmore more than once?
Oh yes.
Yes, me too.
Oh yes.
I'll probably never watch this again. It's like, okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like Happy Gilmore was such a classic. I've seen that movie a dozen times. And every once in a while, just fun to watch again.
So, okay, so you said that it's probably something you'll never watch more than once.
Yeah.
I've got a movie on my list that I've watched that's also like that, and that is Mufasa.
Okay.
The Lion King. Okay, so this is the Lion King prequel, right?
Right.
It is in the same boat. It's like, it's not bad, but like I've seen the Lion King probably 100,000 times. I mean, when we were kids, it was like the thing we'd go to. It was like one of our go-to watching movies, right? And so I've seen the Lion King so much. And Mufasa is good. It's kind of, like I said, prequel. It tells the story of Mufasa, right? So, I mean, that's it. It is what it is. But I'll probably never watch it again. Yeah. It's like, I watched it once. It was entertaining. I liked it. And to me,
is kind of a judge of how good a movie is. If it's really good, I want to watch it.
Yeah, if I watch if I see it on TV and it's on, I'll watch it from there. Remember we talked about Novocaine?
Yes.
Novocaine's a movie I'd watch like that. Like if I caught it in the middle, it was on like cable TV, I'd watch it again from there because it was so good. But yeah, Mufasa is in the same vein as Happy Gilmore 2. I watched it once, probably never gonna watch it again.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's fine. It's fine, right? And that's I guess that's what you're saying about Happy Gilmore 2. It's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. So I mean, and it's like
very entertaining, and there's a couple scenes that are worth watching. That memorable scenes. But yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, I get that. And like I said, I'm gonna put Mufasa in that same category. Like thumbs in the middle.
Yeah, but then they had to kind of stretch with, how are they? How's he gonna come back after 30 years or something?
They had to do the story.
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
Okay.
Storyline was a little
Let's
weak.
move to something else that's golf involved. Have you seen Stick?
I have not.
So I'm about
Never
halfway
heard
through
of
it right now. So Stick is about Owen
Show?
Wilson. Yes, it's a TV show. So it's got 10 episodes on Apple TV.
Okay.
Reminds me a lot of Ted Lasso.
Okay.
So Owen Wilson plays like a golf pro, a former professional golfer who now just does he sells golf clubs and does lessons. But he's out there one day and he hears this kid swinging, and just from hearing it, he knows
next Tiger Woods, right? Okay.
The problem is that he's broke, has very little money, but he thinks this kid's good enough to make it on the amateur circuit. So his mom says, "Well, I'll only let you take him to do this if you can give me $100,000."
Okay.
So he's able to raise the $100,000 and take him. And so the first episode is about him kind of getting everything together, and then the rest of it is about him playing all these amateur tournaments to get into the professionals. And it's very good. If you like, it's got Mark Maron in it too, who's a great comedian. If you don't know Mark Maron, I love that guy. So the two of them together are funny, right? And the kid is really good. Like, the acting is really decent. It's just a kind of a feel-good story about, him believing in this kid so much that he kind of sacrifices almost everything to get him through to get these opportunities to play. And the kid is kind of like a Happy Gilmore. He's great until the point where he starts messing up, and then it's like, woo.
Yeah.
And look, I don't play golf, but we played enough Golden Tee to tell you the same thing. Like, once you start going downhill, you start going downhill quick.
Yeah.
And so
I'm gonna get an 18 on this hole. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so it's the same kind of thing with this kid. He has no patience. He wants to drive for the hole every single shot, right? Like, I mean, and so
lay up.
Right, exactly. So Owen Wilson's trying to teach him, and he's not listening because he's a teenager.
I'd like to try that.
It's really good. So if you got Apple TV, we're halfway through it right now. So there's 10 episodes. We're 5 through, and really enjoying it. So I would recommend it. Let's talk about WWE Unreal. So we all know the WWE is scripted. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, hopefully. My grandfather thought it was real until his dying day. I can tell you it's not. Okay. So Unreal, though, is about the writing teams. It's about the behind the scenes with the wrestlers. And it really tells you how it works. I learned a lot. I listened to a lot of wrestling podcasts, and I thought I knew a lot about how things work. But this show does a better job of explaining all of it than any podcast I've ever listened to.
Okay.
Because the thing is that the stuff that's telling you now is the stuff that happened about 6 to 12 months ago. So if you were watching 6 to 12 months ago, you really, you saw the end result. Right. But you didn't see what they were doing behind to come up with the end result. And so this shows the writer's room. This shows the individual wrestlers and how they work out things. I mean, because here's the thing, Tim, that they go through blocking for matches. Right. Like you would go through blocking if you were doing a Broadway show. Mm-hmm. So because it is scripted and everything, they will literally get into the ring earlier in the day, and they'll say okay, I'm going to do this move, you're going to do that move. They script all the moves. Now they don't necessarily do them, but they'll talk through it in the ring, and they may do a couple of things just to show I'm going to do this move or whatever. And so I didn't realize there was so much blocking to it.
You gotta practice.
Right. Well, I mean, I figured they were just communicating. In the olden days, they wouldn't do the blocking, but nowadays they do all the blocking and everything. So they run through everything beforehand in the ring to make sure everybody's on the same page. This is the way the match flow is going to go and everything like that. These are the spots we're going to do. And so to see that all play out was interesting. And then to see the writer's room, which is like the writer's room for any TV show, Tim. Nice. I mean, it really is, except the problem with this is that people get injured and you got to pivot. Right. It's not like on a TV show where, for the most part, your cast is your cast. You have everybody there. I mean, people do die or get hurt or stuff, but it's very rare. Whereas in wrestling, people get hurt all the time because, as they like to say, it ain't ballet, Tim. So, I mean, people get hurt and they've got to figure out, okay, we've got 2 guys hurt. We got to figure out what we're going to do now because we have this plan and this plan's not going to work out. So they show a lot of that stuff. So if you're interested at all in the behind the scenes of how even TV shows work, because they show a lot of the production stuff too. It's very interesting, and I'm
gonna put that on my watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good because, like I said, and how different the character is from the person. There's a lot of wrestlers where the character they portray is not the same as the person.
Yeah,
we think about this with actors.
Nice guy.
Right, exactly. We think about this with actors all the time. There's a guy who really portrays a jerk on TV, but we know in real life he's fine, right?
Or you think they're a nice person and then they're a jerk in real life, right?
So. The funny thing is that you'll see somebody who plays a heel, a bad guy, on the show, and then you'll see them interviewed, and they're like the nicest person ever, and you're like, oh my goodness, they're way nicer than what I thought they would be, because they play such a horrible person on the show, right? So I think it's really interesting if you're the kind of person who likes behind the scenes stuff, even if you're not a WWE fan. I think it's really good. So
I'll watch it soon.
Let's talk about Sherlock and Daughter real quick, Tim. Wow, this was good. And Sherlock and Daughter was really meant for the CW, but the CW is partially owned by like HBO Max. Okay. And so that's why it's on HBO Max. And the entire thing is out now. But basically it's about this woman who comes over from America to find Sherlock Holmes and tell him that she's his daughter. He doesn't believe her. Okay. And so that's where I'm going to leave it. And while she shows up, he's trying to solve other cases. Well, she ends up working for him because he's like, well, I don't think you're my daughter, but I need help. And so can you help me with these things? And so she ends up working for him. And I don't want to spoil anything else. It's really good. So the guy who plays Sherlock nails it. Oh my goodness. Like if he may be, and I mean, I like Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock. Okay. Don't get me wrong. This guy plays, when I think of the books and how Sherlock Holmes is portrayed by Sir Conan Doyle, the guy who wrote it, this guy is that. He like nails what you think of Sherlock Holmes when you read the book. Very arrogant, but without seemingly being arrogant, if you will. So, I mean, it's very good. So, and it's very short. The episodes are about an hour long, so it can be a long watch if you're used to like 30-minute episodes. But it was enjoyable, and it's something your wife would probably appreciate too, if she likes that kind of stuff. So, and all of it takes place, around his house on Baker Street, like in England. So, but it's very good. So, highly recommend it. That's a big thumbs up if you guys want to watch that. Took my kids to see The Bad Guys 2. Tim, have you ever seen The Bad Guys 1?
Nope.
Okay, so Bad Guys came out after the Spider-Verse movie. So it's got a very animated stylistic style to it, like what you would expect more of a comic book style. And I love it. I love the way that they did it.
And the kids like it?
The second one may be better than the first. And it's hard for me to say that about sequels a lot of times. The kids loved it. And the kids want to go see it again, in fact. But it was really good, and it may be better than the first one. So if you like those... Now, here's the thing. It's made by Universal or DreamWorks. So more than likely, it's going to be on Peacock in like a month. Because they bring their stuff like to Peacock 30 days typically. I think, or it'll be out to on demand. Jurassic World is already on demand right now. So I mean, just to show you how fast they bring stuff out. So The Bad Guys 2 may be out here in about a month or less. So, but it was really good, and my kids want to watch it like 10 more times. So, okay, this is what I've been saving up for since you watched it too.
Right.
Shiny Happy People season 2. Now, did you watch season 1 with the Duggar family?
I did. I had not watched it till I saw this one. I said, wait a second, there's season 1. So I went back and watched all of season 1, which there's only 4 episodes, I think.
Something like that.
And then 3 episodes of this, I think, right?
Yes.
So while we were on vacation, that's one thing we did on the plane, and when we got there to the hotel at night, we would watch that, and we watched them all. Yeah.
So the first season has to do with the Duggar family. I think we talked about that like when we watched it. It was fine. And I mean, it's basically, they're Mormon, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So it's basically like kind of behind all of that.
I thought the season 2 was going to pick up with them because it starts off with the kids.
It does. It starts off with
like, hold on to your, like they're going to have some big announcement. And then it switched gears and went totally different way.
So people have been writing them about things that were cultish like. And so apparently the direction they decided to go was towards Teen Mania. So Teen Mania's headquarters was, like we said, about 40 minutes up the road near Lindale, Texas. And so when I was growing up, I knew a lot of people who went to Teen Mania events or were involved in Teen Mania. So the documentary talks about Teen Mania. Now, Teen Mania was a ministry started by Ron Luce, is that correct?
Ron Luce,
and he basically started off with missions. So he would do missions. He would take teenagers on mission trips to different places.
Kind of believed that everybody should go on some kind of mission trip.
Yes. So, I mean, the idea was to spread the gospel of Christ. I mean, no different than any other missionary group that you would have, you know, like that's going to doing missions in different countries. Like he felt like he needed to bring Christ to the parts of the world that weren't getting it, right? Totally get that. Okay. But then he moved in this sort of direction where he started these big kind of festivals. And I was trying to think.
Acquire the Fire.
Right. Acquire the Fire was what he started. And I'm trying to think of how to describe this. It's like it's like one of these big music festivals that they have now, almost like a Lollapalooza or something like this, or a Astro World. If you saw the documentary on that with Travis Scott, very similar to that, except with Christian bands. And then Ron Luce would preach, and he would motivate these kids basically to give their lives to Christ, and then to go on mission trips. Like that was the whole thing. So, and all this was under the Teen Mania banner, and I mean, we could go into the rest of it, but basically, I mean, the whole goal to win kids to Christianity, to go out and preach, and to go out and,
it took a left turn. Yeah,
I don't know if it's a left turn. So eventually, he decides that doing the missions and stuff like that, then they have like a leadership academy,
right?
Okay, Honor Academy, right? Honor Academy that the kids would go to, and that was like military style Christian training, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And then from there, it moved into the political realm. So Ron moved kind of the whole thing into politics. Okay. So the place where this ends, Tim, is it blames a lot of MAGA and conservative Christian beliefs that we have today in the movement of the cultural movement that we've had towards that on things like Teen Mania.
Right.
Okay, that's where it ends.
Like they were indoctrinated.
Right, exactly. So basically, all these kids were indoctrinated Teen Mania, and so that's why the whole country has lurched towards MAGA and conservative Christian beliefs, and all this is because we had all these kids who are brainwashed and Teen Mania, and now we have that. So I had a real problem with that because Teen Mania, I don't think had anything to do with that. The direction they should have gone to wrap it up is the fact that I bet you 6 out of 10 of the people who went to Teen Mania or Honor Academy or anything like that, I bet they're no longer Christian. And what Teen Mania did is, I feel like it pushed an entire generation of kids away from Christianity. Right. Because the people the people that they interviewed in there, guess what? Most of them ain't Christian anymore. No. Okay, and so instead of going in, they blame Teen Mania for all of this conservative Christian lurch in culture that we've had. But really, I don't think Teen Mania had anything to do with that. I think that Teen Mania, if anything, hurt that in a way, because once kids started thinking for themselves, a lot of what Teen Mania was preaching was really it was obedience. It wasn't Christianity, and that's the problem. And so when people started to figure out, like, oh, wait a second, what I'm being taught is not Christianity, I think they decided to get away from it. Right, it was more about control. Now, here's the problem, is that people equated that with Christianity, and now they're no longer Christian. And so, if anything, Teen Mania is probably one of the reasons why there's a lot of kids nowadays who aren't no longer Christian.
But another thing, though, I like I said, just on the outside looking in, I knew about it, knew people, heard about it, but it was more for a little bit even younger than you, right? Maybe not
around my
your age,
a little bit younger, maybe.
But
I had friends.
They really targeted younger people than me, so I wasn't their target audience. So that wasn't compelled to go or try anything like that.
But you would have been a youth minister, I think, during that time. Whereas I was in youth. Right. And I had friends, like, our church didn't go to Acquire the Fire events, but I had friends whose churches went to Acquire the Fire events, and they would always tell me, oh, it's so awesome, it's amazing, it's like the best thing ever. Like, I always got like this really just overly positive.
But it also bugged me that there were basically, 10 people at the most, right? If literally 1 million people went through this, did you not give me 5 people that had some kind of positive thing to say about it?
Exactly.
Or was it 95% of everybody feels that way?
Right, and I think
it's hard to know, were they just bad apples, but I do think some abuse was going on. That, for sure. Not physical and emotional abuse definitely happened.
It was all, but here's the thing: what they were doing was they were not preaching Christianity. They were preaching this obedience and
going to break your will,
break you down and build you back up and kind of stuff like this.
It was military style,
right? It was military, but that's not Christianity. I mean, that's the problem.
Jesus doesn't call us to all go and sit in rats and try to escape. Right.
So Tim, for the longest time, I mean, people like to equate Christians to being warriors, and we're Christian. There's an old hymn that's like, "I am a Christian soldier," blah 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 blah. Right. But if you look at Jesus, like, dude, Jesus, like Peter cut a guy's ear off, and what did he do?
He picked it up and put it on him and told him that he didn't bring peace, not a sword.
Right, exactly. It's like, so, like, when you think of things being Christian warriors, maybe you need Christian warrior to me means something a whole lot different than actual fighting.
Right.
And that's what we think about. Like, I think of prayer warrior. I think about something like that. I think about,
It was an interesting watch, though, and it did challenge me because I was raised in a really strict denomination. In fact, my upbringing, just even John, some stuff you don't know, was more like the Duggars. Right. If you see the first one, that's, we were taught to be obedient. Women were to be submissive to men. Sure. and not really have much place. They just, made babies and, but I could see some of the struggles that even I've dealt with because of my upbringing, how we were taught. But
there's a reason I am not with the denomination I grew up in.
Right.
And it's because I did not agree with the way that they did some of those things.
Yeah, and so
that's what it comes down to. It's like you have to look and you have to look at yourself, and you have to. Here's what you have to do. You need to read the Bible and decide what you believe about it. And that's the biggest thing that people don't tell you. And here's the thing: like you can you can have companions and things, but really you need to sit there and say, okay, if I'm really want to try this Christian thing out,
right?
Like, let me read the New Testament and see what I think about it. And if you read that, I mean, like you said, you never see these pictures of Jesus with like a sword in his hand, like going to war. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's not a picture that I ever get, But but you see, in Teen Mania, that was the picture they were selling. Was that you are a Christian soldier. You are going to war with the culture. You are, you are fighting, you are being world changers and all this kind of stuff. And like, I get that. But the way Jesus changed the world was through love.
Right.
That's what I would argue.
If you want to change the world, start with your neighbor next door.
Yeah.
Or the person down the street, or the homeless
or
guy,
man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said.
Yeah, exactly. Start local, and I always say you can't make a difference to everyone, but you can make a difference to someone.
Right.
And so, and to that person, you may be everything.
Right.
They're hanging on. So anyway, I think it's an interesting watch, and it's just. Kind of, we're passionate about it because it was so close to us, and like you said, a lot of people we knew were involved in it and stuff, and so good watch, good something to, if you want to have a discussion or something about. Me and my wife had kind of challenged both of us to really think about some of what we were taught, like you're saying, growing up.
I do want to say something. I had a thought the other day, Tim, and somebody may have said this before, but it's a thought that I now want to adhere to for the rest of my life. I never want to be concerned with anybody else's sin more than my own.
Right.
I never want to be concerned with anybody else's sin more than I am concerned with my own sin. I should
always say,
focus on mine.
I don't judge somebody because they sin differently than me.
Sure.
They have a different sin.
Right.
Just because your struggle is, let's say your struggle is alcoholism, where I could drink a beer and it not bother me, you could have one drink and spend 4 days missing work.
Right.
There are people we know like that.
Yeah.
So, just because I don't struggle with it doesn't mean that I shouldn't be sympathetic for somebody that is.
Right.
Or whatever their problem is.
It's the speck in the plank, too.
Right. Exactly.
And here's the thing. It's like people will go out there and they'll say, oh, you're a sinner, you're doing this. I've got so much sin on my own, I don't have time to worry about anybody else's sin. That's I have to worry about my own sin. I need to get right. That's my problem. I don't have time to point at you and say, hey, look, what you're doing is wrong. Now, if you come up and ask me, I'd be happy to tell you, but I'm not going to sit there and take my time to point out your sin when I've got plenty of sin on my own to worry about. Now, if you want to know if something's a sin or whatever, I'll tell you. What I'm saying? We can talk about that, but it's like, if I'm not going to spend my time outside of somebody asking me to point out other people's sin when I've got way more sin on my own to worry about. So that's just me personally. So
a good watch. Y'all give it a try if you want to. I need to wrap up because I have got a long day tomorrow.
I think we're good.
Yeah, thank y'all for being a part, and chat room got quiet during the live, but some of you stuck around.
I think we drove everybody off. So.
I think they're sticking around. They're just working on games and listening to us jabber.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you guys for being here, though, and for being a part. We really do enjoy getting together, but we also enjoy spending time with you guys and listening to your questions, and feel like, well, I just call you friends. Is what you are. We get to visit with our friends once a month. So thank y'all for being here, and I'm ready to go if you are.
I am too. See you guys next month for the September show. Should be only in 4 weeks because we had a late one this month. And we'll be putting, of course, the audio version of this up very soon. If you guys are subscribed on the audio podcast, hopefully you checked out the after show too. So anyway, we'll see you guys next month for September. Take care. Bye, everybody. Good luck getting all the kids back to school. And we'll see you once everything is hopefully cooler in the fall. So bye, guys.